Welcome back, Chatfish, to another Bunchcast. Today we have Chumba with us, also known as Rapier Kamigawa.
That is my actual name, yeah.
Chumba, yep, he is. Fairman, who also known as Fair Bear, and he's dead. Our little
Yeah,
beloved
he
Squealy has not joined us, and Hands is not awake right now. He is unconscious. So we will be doing a little podcast. It's nothing too much to talk about this week, but there are some interesting things here. And I actually wanted to address it right away because it sort of popped up out of sort of left field periphery. But Brad Wardell is the guy behind Stardock, basically. He's the big cheese, so to speak. And what's interesting is that they released Sins of a Solar Empire too, and IGN is now basically using an older build of the game to rag on Sins of Solar Empire 2 to quickly pump out a review right after the wake of Homeworld 3's launch to make it look like Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is bad in comparison to Homeworld 3. And we all know that Homeworld 3 is not being received very well. It's at mixed. It had diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it kind of just was kind of a wokeified version of the Homeworld story. It wasn't very good.
Story was written by a 5-year-old.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. Was the general consensus among fans. It was a disappointment, and that's Homeworld 3. The big disappointment of 2024 when it comes to RTS. Now the RTS gameplay was actually okay, but the campaign and the story is really bad. And so that is regrettable, but that's just sadly the reality with Homeworld 3.
Looks like they changed the campaign later on, because looking from some of the
When it
concept
comes
art
to
and early development stuff.
Yep, they changed it in mid-development because probably the diversity officers bullshit probably took over because it is Gearbox,
Commissar.
and Gearbox is incredibly politicized, unfortunately. Now,
God damn it, Randy.
IGN released a review and basically lambasts and roasts Sins of a Solar Empire, which is a really good RTS. We streamed it the other day, and like I fully recommend that you wishlist it. It's really good, but the footage they're using is of an older build of the game, and they're talking about bugs, and it's like they intentionally went out of their way to play an older build of the game to try to degrade the game, to try to put it down so that they can boost Homeworld above it. Because Sins of Solar Empire, well, who are they going to be competing with? Are they going to be competing with Ghost of Tsushima? No. They're going to be competing with Homeworld sales. Now, Sins of Solar Empire 2 is the 4X space game RTS that you've been looking for. It is faithful. It is respectful to the source material, and it builds on top of it. Runs in multi-core support, has orbiting celestial bodies. There's whole new mechanics to explore with each faction, like the Visari and the TEC, that sort of makes them more unique. And they've been really open to modders and already like including them in like talks. So that's really good for the Sins of Solar Empire developers. But for Homeworld 3, it's not the same scene. It's actually the sort of an opposite look. It's not doing very well. It's not very faithful to the originals. They sort of ignore Homeworld Cataclysm as canon, and so they don't really build on top of anything. You know, for an example, Sins of Solar Empire, if you play as the Visari, in lore, the Visari are fleeing from a great evil, a terror that has basically wiped them out. And they changed their starting so that when they start, they don't start instantly colonizing a world. They start jumping into a planet. Your start for your campaign, if you play Visari in a skirmish, is you jump in, and all of a sudden you got to fight and clear out the humans that are inhabiting a planet, and then take over the planet, which is actually more canon. So they've reworked things to be more faithful to the storyline, which is actually really interesting. And there's the whole Exodus faction, and it plays a lot more like what you'd expect the lore wise. So it's done a really good job being faithful. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I find it interesting that a good RTS, for the first time in a long time, is being attacked. Not because it's good, but because it didn't do the wokey things. It didn't do the political
Fans
things.
liked it, so we have to attack it. That's usually how this goes
It's not even,
nowadays.
the thing is, the game hasn't even released 1.0 like launch yet. It's going to be later this year when they release the Advent. It'll also be launching on Steam as well. And so it has yet to actually properly launch into 1.0, and like it's just like why are they going after it? The Advent aren't in. Like it's not and they're using an older build. So I find that interesting, and I find that concerning because it's just really bad. Like I think they gave it like a They gave it like an absolute mediocre score, which, as an RTS fan and as a fan of the Sins of Solar Empire franchise, this review. Now, the IGN network is a rag, right? But it's interesting because all these little news network people talk with each other. They communicate and they coordinate with each other. And you're going to see this stuff echoed and sort of repeated at nauseum because Stardock doesn't have the same friends that Gearbox has. And because Stardock doesn't have the same friends that Gearbox has, they're going to try to push them under the water to uplift a mediocre product. Homeworld 3 is the mediocre product. Homeworld 3 is the disappointment, not Sins of a Solar Empire. Sins of a Solar Empire is probably the only RTS I think we've gotten in a long time. And Chatfish are saying that Brad Wardell has been deemed problematic ever since GG1 because he sided with the gamers. He did. He's actually taken a... Brad Wardell is a very reasonable man. He is, I think, a pretty decent dude from everything I've seen. I follow him on like X and I see his posts. He's got some interesting insight and he seems like a knowledgeable guy. But that could be the reason, because he's not with the crowd. He's kind of an outlier, and so therefore, you got to tear down, good thing to uplift bad thing, and so
Not towing the party line.
it wasn't going to be
Yeah,
the initial
and-
subject of today's stream. But I had to bring this up because I saw this appear, and we just played Sins of Solar Empire 2, and I fully recommend that people wishlist it because it is good. It is everything we've wanted Sins of Solar Empire 2 to be. And it basically builds on top of Rebellion and all of its expansions and goes further. So I really wanted
And
to
with-
make a note of that real quick. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
with those changes you talk about how they're building on top of the story and stuff, like with the faction that comes in and they don't have the planet colonized immediately, that's also making the factions actually a bit more unique and stand out from just a gameplay perspective.
Mhm.
But this thing with IGN, this isn't the first time they've done stuff like this. They will actively try to crush anything that doesn't push, their party line. And yeah, like you said, we are going to see all the other outlets produce effectively the same article as IGN just did here.
They always regurgitate each other's nonsense. Sins of Solar Empire, this is the tone that's going to be set for Sins of Solar Empire 2. It's not that good. It's mediocre. It's not, it really just doesn't live up to the Sins of a Solar Empire thing. And it's like, oh my gosh. Like,
But you can see more reviews of the guy. Let's see what else he reviewed.
what was that?
Yes.
You can see the other reviews made by that guy. Let's see what the guy thinks of some other
No,
games.
I'm not really interested in the individual, to be
Ah.
honest with you. Because the thing is, these people are a dime a dozen. Like, they write
Yeah.
articles, there's 1,000 of them, and they're all uninteresting. I just found that interesting, and I wanted to highlight this subject because, while it wasn't the original discussion for today's stream, it was important because, honestly, like, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. It just annoys me because it's like, oh my gosh. Like-
Actually, quick thing on the comparison between Homeworld and Sins 2. Since Sins 2 is building up on the mechanics they've already made and like are building on it, I was hearing Homeworld 3 actually dumbed down or sort of removed a lot of mechanics from the older games.
Yeah, there were
Did
some
you see
things
anything like that?
It did feel like it was missing some things, but honestly, like, it was hard to really pay attention to it when playing through the campaign because the campaign was so, like, it was like a train wreck that got worse and worse. And so it was
so bad
hard.
I was
Yeah.
expecting.
It was really hard to appreciate anything since it was, or not, sorry, Homeworld 3 had to offer. Because Homeworld 3, the further I got into the campaign, the less I cared. And the issue was that the overall vibe I felt after playing it was that I just pressed A move on everything. Like, it's like, okay, the really cool part was in the early missions they showed you, the ability to use like terrain to move your ships around and maneuver, and that's cool, except it never really becomes useful ever again. Because it's kind of a waste of resources. You should just build the big ship and then win, because fighters are just tissue paper. And so are bombers. And while I'm a big fan of Homeworld, and I love Homeworld Cataclysm, it's the best one, it doesn't have the same feel. And it felt a little clunky at times too. Well, it was fun. Like, I enjoyed the game, but I really hated everything else about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Homeworld 3 is missing
And-
directional armor for one, I believe. That's awful. That explains so much, though. Genghis donates,
I was seeing complaints like that.
Genghis donates, oh goodness gracious, I don't even have my Streamlabs open. Don't donate through Streamlabs right now. There we go. And it's all say,
$1.
do RTS players even care about IGN's opinion anymore? Probably not. But the thing is, what's important is your average RTS player, and before I read the rest of that question, because I have to answer the first part, your average RTS player like me, who's dedicated and hardcore, is not going to really read a review, and you're going to play it for yourself. That's what we do, because we're so starved for content. It's not even funny, right? The minute something good falls in our lap, I feel the need to lavish it in praise. That's why I'm just smothering Sins of Solar Empire 2 right now, because the game is, for the first time forever, it's an RTS that's not making me want to gouge my eyes out or just like insufferable to play. Ugh. Because that happens all the time. And it's annoying because the market is starved. It is very much starved. That's why I think it's important that we praise SOSE, because that game represents a huge upgrade from Sins of Solar Rebellion, which is still a great game with fantastic mods. But the new engine and the new multi-core support, that alone is so worth being successful that it wouldn't even matter that they added orbiting planets and all these other mechanics and things. Like, that's secondary, because just uplifting it into a new engine and making it run multi-core support is such a vast improvement, because the big problem with old Sins is it's a great game, but it starts to lag. It lags really bad because it only runs on one core, right? And so it gets really, really laggy on the bigger space battles, which kind of sucks because it kind of ruins the fun and flow of the game, right? Now it's like it's just super buttery smooth, and there's massive armadas clashing across the solar systems. I can't wait for multi-solar systems to be added and see multiple stars, because that's where it really started to chug on the the older version. Like, it was very unplayable. It was like watching, single frames occasionally. Like, oh. Someone asked on the Homeworld Steam, says Boo. Oh, no, wait, sorry. I need to finish reading the first question first. IGN's opinion anymore. I know I don't. I say less attention paid to IGN, the faster they can fade to bankruptcy. I mean, the thing is, these companies normally have outsider support. It's going to take a while for them to actually go away. And because the gaming industry is kind of sort of rigged from the get-go, it's very corrupt from the interior, it's going to try to uplift and support these sort of outlets. Because if you can buy them, you can buy the news publication to say, my game's great. Your average casual gamer is going to just consume that. That leads back to what I was saying earlier. This is why IGN is kind of important no matter what. Your average casual gamer who is not very familiar with video games is going to look at sites like this, and they're going to be like, well, this is where I get my news from. And the issue is because they don't have time to get invested into gaming like I do, because I literally live and breathe it. I'm an indie developer, I work in it, and you guys are very passionate about it. Not everyone has the same amount of time. That's why it's important to highlight this, because the hope is that we can spread the word, and via word of mouth, more people will be enlightened to the fact that IGN is basically a piece of toilet paper. It's absolute trash. And
This is also why it's good Steam has their own reviews, so that
Mhm.
most people now just, as far as I'm aware, just see what the review score is on Steam itself and not go to these
Yes.
sites, because these sites are worthless. You can literally see how the game is trending from people who are playing the game.
Yep, reading by forums. This is also why it's always important to be vocal and remain vocal about these sort of publication sites. Are they as relevant as they once were? No. Thank God, right? But the issue is that it will sway some people. And it's unfortunate because these are going to be like younger generation people who are like, oh man, I really would they're potential RTS enjoyers, but they have yet to experience a good RTS because they've been unfortunate that they were born and got to the age to experience RTSs when the RTS market is kind of dead. Like, there's a lot of RTSs that are being made right now. They're of varying quality. Like, Beyond All Reason is a good one, and Sanctuary Shattered Suns has good potential. Like, there's old mod groups like Forge Alliance Forever and stuff like that. But there's just not a lot in the way of new, like, big budget AAAs, Like, you're not going to see a Tom Clancy End War, like, big budget release, or like a Halo Wars big budget release. because the issue is console RTS is sort of, so many studios like Ensemble Studios just impaled themselves and died producing these games. And they just hemorrhaged out and bled out because a lot of AAAs tried to push them to make for the consoles. Like the console, like the reason why a lot of the greats fell, there's a lot. We could get really into the history behind it. We keep playing Age of Empires 2. Age of Empires, I think it's actually, love him or hate him or whatever about him. Bill Gates, I think it was Bill Gates, didn't he ask people, hey, what are your thoughts, or what would you like to have? And then people were like, can we have Age of Empires? And he's like, okay. And then he like bankrolled, and I don't remember if this story is true or not, but wasn't it him that bankrolled the revival of Age of Empires, the entire franchise?
It was
Well,
someone, because I've heard that story as well. I didn't hear it was Bill Gates, but it was definitely an executive. I'm
It was
pretty sure.
somebody.
Bill
And so
Benson, maybe?
the definitive editions, like the reason why Age of Empires is a resurgent RTS, and I know a lot of people are like maybe not super into Age of Empires because it's sort of like the building block RTS, but Age of Empires done very well. The definitive edition for Age of Empires 2, very well. Age of Empires 3 did well, and I don't think as well as AoE 2. And Age of Empires 4 did all right too, and I know a lot of people that still play it for the multiplayer stuff. And it's like one of those few instances where you see an RTS that's actually kind of back up and coming. Like Age of Mythology is on the horizon actually right now. That's coming. So there is a lot of hope for the revival of the genre. And I know this wasn't going to be an RTS genre stream, but, this subject just dropped into my lap today. So, like when I woke up, I finally was reading about it. And so I thought it was interesting and worth talking about. Because I
On
do
all
think it's
the
important. What?
Yeah, it is important. On all the old greats that all collapsed from trying to do consoles and stuff, I have to wonder how much of that was because of higher up executives eating through all the budget and just deciding, oh, I didn't make enough money, so it's a failure.
Well, not just the budget. It's that they often console RTS go, or a place for console or RTS to go to die. The reason why is because a lot of
Mobile.
games are streamlined for that, right? Like Command and Conquer is still alive as a franchise. We don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable, but CNC lives on as a mobile game right now.
No, that's yeah.
Green Army Men,
Multiple.
I think the Green Army Men or Army Men franchise still exists right now as mobile games. Dungeon Keeper was a mobile game.
Oh,
Like, this is unfortunate what happens to the greats. The greats need to make more money, and the issue is that the mobile gaming market is simply just more profitable and easier to produce for. And they'll consume anything.
But part of the reason them needing to make more and more and more money is because higher ups demanding to get paid more and more and more.
It might be executive related, but I think it's more of
It's the
just
business
trying to
system.
profit in general because
It's
well, hold
sorry.
on a second. When it comes to like Halo Wars being made or like Command and Conquer being dumbed down for consoles, it's really just execs trying to pump the numbers up to match other games in their library, right? They're trying to make Command and Conquer sell like Call of Duty. This happened with Dead Space, and other genres beyond just RTSs are not the only victims.
your mom hates it.
No, the Dead Space game, no, that had nothing to do with it. The Dead Space games, the issue they suffered from was that EA wanted Dead Space 3 to sell on a level that just wasn't there market-wise. Like, it was like it wanted returns, like, to double the sales of what, like, the actual market was. The reality is genres have only a set number of, like, people in it. They are niches. And you have to understand that this niche can only be supported so much, right? It's like our supporters. We only make so much and can only make so much based on our viewership, right? And what they donate. We can't really raise that bar higher because, well, that's just not possible. That bar can't be raised higher because there's a ceiling, right, on how much we're gonna make. The issue is that these studios were kind of in the way. Tanking them meant that more resources could go towards other things. So it's kind of beneficial, and there's a lot at play, and it's different for place per place. But I don't think it's actually just one thing. It's just that RTSs are a niche, and while they were big when gaming started, because RTSs are easier to make, or not easier to make, but just more popular to make, they've kind of shifted because Call of Duty and the next generation wanted like different things. Call of Duty, they wanted your survival crafty games, your battle royales, the mainstream appeal games, your free to plays, because
The
they
money
make a lot of
makers.
money. Yeah. And so when you
It's like
when you
same
look
in
at
the
it
movie
from
industry.
when you look at it from a business point of view, and you're not thinking about game and the passion of making a game and all of that nature like an indie does, or like a developer does, or a creative does, right? You're looking from a more corporatist view set. The corporatist view set, it's going to want to maximize profits. And if that means burning a product that isn't selling very well, because that's all they see it. They see it as a product, right? It's like a cheeseburger. You know, the burger with pineapples isn't doing as well as the burger with ketchup and pickles. So get rid of the pineapple burger and sell more ketchup and pickle burgers. And then replace it with a chicken sandwich because that sells better. Like, it's literally the same mentality. Because for them, it's product. It's not really the game. It's not the franchise. They don't really care about these things. And I just realized that I forgot to turn on our little thing that we have. We have like I literally had a composer make background music, and I thought I turned it on, but I literally didn't. I apologize, little chatfish. There's supposed to be calm, soothing little bits of music in the background for chat to listen to.
Hold on a sec.
Go ahead.
Albine, what do you mean at least 3 furries?
Well, there's me, there's Gibbs, and guess who is the third one?
Who's the third?
No, Fairman and you. Now, moving back onto the actual stream subject and this silly nonsense about your degeneracy matters
I
little to
didn't
me.
say anything.
Who's the person with the pony avatar? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh,
Anyways, back to topic.
I was just going to mention real quick that part of the issue that is that like the business model became to artificially inflate the value of your company as high as possible to sell your stock to new investors. And this created a feedback loop where the new investors come in, they notice that, wait a second, this is not as valuable as I thought it was when I bought it. And then they pressure the suits, the CEO, okay, you literally need to make the stock value go up because you made us buy. We bought this thinking that it was valued at X, and it's not valued at X. It's valued at, you know what I mean? It's part of why they hire so much people. They hire like a lot of bloats because they the company is growing and stuff like that. It's also part where they all go after the big trend in the moment because that's what the most investors, they are not knowledgeable what they are investing. They just see the big numbers going up and they go right. I don't know if you guys, I think Gibbs knows about this, but a lot of people lost a lot of money trying to invest into MMOs.
Well,
Because
yes.
they kept-
So
yeah.
the big problem with the MMO thing is it wasn't just they were investing in MMOs. It's that it was the same mentality that was like with the Halo killers, right? It's like this idea like, oh fuck, we don't have our Halo, so we're gonna make Killzone. Killzone's not better than Halo because it can't be better than Halo. What Halo does, they made Resistance. Resistance can't replace Halo because Resistance isn't Halo, and so they tried to mimic Halo, but they didn't understand that you shouldn't mimic a game. The minute you try to mimic something or be like somebody or be a killer, so to speak, what you're gonna do is kill yourself.
Hey, you know who didn't try to be Halo and was successful? Gears of War.
Gears of War wasn't, yep, because it did its own thing, carved out its own niche, and so therefore, it established itself as unique and identifiable. In the case of the World of Warcraft killers, Warhammer Age of Reckoning was a World of Warcraft clone. Like, it was just a weaker, boring, inferior version of a much better game. And so the reality was that all these MMOs were just trying to imitate. Wow, like EA's big and second attempt after Age of Reckoning was Star Wars: The Old Republic, and Star Wars: The Old Republic, while it was one of the most expensive games ever developed, had amazing voice acting, amazing storylines for the initial game, anyways, and it's really worth playing in my opinion. It's a terrible MMO, and on top of being a terrible MMO, it's also just not really better than WoW. It can't really do the PvP very well. Its dungeons aren't as good or raids. And so it's like, okay, well, you tried and you threw money at the problem. And the issue is, instead of just making a really good Star Wars game and focusing on the Star Wars aspect, you tried to follow in the footsteps of someone else and you failed. This happens all the time.
At this point, it's a business model, but this comes all back to the whole locust/cannibalizing thing I mentioned in the last one about the CEOs running those companies short term, quote unquote profitable, and then that's gonna go under after a while. But well, at this point, these CEOs are already at another company, and look
Yeah.
at all of the money they made under my tenure. It's
But
cannibalism.
but it's because of the thing I mentioned. Like you literally like go short while because like the actions that you would need to take to be very profitable long term. You know, you wouldn't be Call of Duty profitable, but you would be profitable for years to come. But they are not. They are not what the investors want. The investors want short-term, quick cash, and then sell the stock to another sucker.
Well,
basically.
it's a bit more than just investors and stocks. Like that is a part of it, but it's also more complicated than just that. And that is only for certain things, because not everything is the exact same, right? When it comes to Sony, it's very much a stock issue because their stocks are low and their shareholders are very upset.
Panicking.
Yes. And when it comes to Microsoft, Microsoft doesn't really give a damn because they're on top right now of the market, and that's why they're pushing the DEI
Microsoft
stuff.
does not rely on the gaming thing to make money. That
Yep,
says, oh, more money.
That's why they're pushing the politicization angle, and they're being more violent with that. You're gonna see that. What we're gonna see in the near future is Microsoft's gonna do the same missteppings that Sony did early on, and basically face plant the wall, and they're gonna feel that, and it's gonna take time. But
Don't
yeah,
forget the last time they had that. Around every 10 years, it feels like the great companies do that. And when was the fucking Xbone thing? When Microsoft made everyone hate them, and Sony was just sitting there gloating because they fucked up with the whole rented game stuff. And that's about
you got some serious background noise.
Yep.
You have to turn up the
okay,
volume.
better. That wasn't a fan. That was a thing I had no control over.
Yep, okay.
Left the room. What was I saying? Oh yeah, right. It's cyclical. Okay, for 10 years, Sony was doing well while Microsoft was recovering from the fucking was it the Xbox One? The announcement that was just absolute.
I can't
Everyone
remember
hated it.
exactly, but Microsoft did face plant there.
Yeah, and then when Sony came out and had on the spot of the convention had their guys just, oh, how do we share games like this? And it was just
Are you
writing
like
this in the
outside
feed.
or something?
Yeah, no. I have the window open.
Close that window.
Yes, I do.
It's
Hello,
loud.
hands.
It's loud. Got some German
Alright.
cars beeping. Some Volkswagens.
I was not
Radically
even a
Milk
car.
Toast says, I loved the game mechanics. Oh, you're talking about this. Hold on. He says, if you played Hard Space Shipbreakers, I have. It's a really fun game, but they were doing some weird things with it when I stopped. It was starting to look a little proggy. Yeah. He says, our prog commie sentiment in that story, which was made by Blackbird Interactive, which is the guys that made Homeworld 3. I said, I love that game. The mechanics they slept on and developing that game further. Yeah, no, there were telltale signs that Blackbird Interactive was going bad. And honestly, like, you could see it seep in, right? If you beat Homeworld 3 at the end credits, you'll see, like, there's, like, this scene of, like, concept arts of Sajet and what she looks like. And she looks, Imogen Sajet, and she looks actually very pretty and beautiful. And
Can't have that.
when you play the game, Imogen Sajet isn't pretty or beautiful. She's ugly. They made her ugly. And they did that intentionally. And I think there's a couple problems with Homeworld 3, right? Homeworld 3's big problem is the story. They don't know how to write. Like, the story's just awful. The second problem is that the characters just look bad. 3, the cutscenes demystify the world. Honestly, seeing the captain, seeing the bridge, and the way they did it was bad. How they should have done it, and I'm going to lament about this, but it's as a storyteller and as an indie developer myself, Homeworld Cataclysm has much more story. It's better than Homeworld 1 in my opinion, and it entirely goes down to story, visualization, and presentation. The way they had painted and drawn these sort of black, stark, like comic book-esque art pieces to show the crew or to show any section of the ship, and not really focusing on any one character. Even the Kunlan's captain he's a main character, along with like the command voice, or like the the command or whatever. because there's that female voice. I can't remember what she's supposed to represent. But they're like these ideas, and it's sort of vague and ambiguous, and it's focused on the Kith Sum Tau clan and the ship, the Kun Lan. And it's much
Captain
more...
doesn't even get a name.
Yeah, he doesn't even get a name, as far as I'm aware. And it's more about the story of the ship and the clan, and then the rest of the galaxy. And it's not really focused on any individual, where it feels like when they make it about an individual, it's like it becomes a smaller story, because individual stories are much smaller, right? It's like, oh, my mom or my grandma, I miss my grandma. It's like, well, now we're in space doing a space epic, and we care about grandma. I mean, I love my grandma, but like, come on. Let's focus on the big picture here. Let's not make it so micro scale. The thing about the Homeworld universe that's cool is the macro scale.
Yeah, I would also say Cataclysm did a better job of conveying emotion than Homeworld 3 does.
Oh god, Cataclysm's emotion range is
Cataclysm was
great.
terrifying.
The captain sounds terrified and horrified. And then in the end, when he gets the confidence and is like, we're gonna kick your ass. And he's like, it's really got that hero's journey.
Another thing about Cataclysm, if you listen to the cutscenes, near the beginning of the game, he refers to the ship as the mining ship, the Kun Lan. But at the end of the game, he doesn't say mining ship. He says this is the warship Kun Lan.
Yep, this is the warship Kun Lan, because they're no longer a mining ship. They are a warship, and their clan gets known as the Beast Slayers. Like, they go from like a small petty clan inside of the Hagaran like culture, and then they expand. And these clans and these different clans vying for control and not respecting the Kisum Tau when they get repaired. Like, thanks for the repairs. Not gonna help you. Good luck and goodbye. Like, they don't care at all. And so it's got this feeling of like the hero's journey is they got to work their way up to being respected, because they're not a very respected clan. It was very, very good. And I like that storytelling methodology. Didn't think we were going to talk about Homeworld today. Thanks, Brad. This is all Brad's fault. It's because of that stupid tweet. But to be fair, it was important to highlight, because Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is a really good game. And I recommend you guys check it out. It's fucking awesome. It's absolutely everything we wanted from Sins of Solar Empire to carry on forward. And the mods, I cannot wait to see. So, well, Homeworld may have face planted. At least there is a good sci-fi RTS in the market that will pick up the slack. Now, for our other subject, and we'll probably come back to the Homeworld thing, because it is an important subject to talk about, because there's a lot of storytelling nuances there, as well as creative aspects that I find lacking. But the other issue is fun over greed, right? And this was originally the main subject of today's stream. So the big thing is with what we're going to be talking about is we're going to talk about a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima. Now, it's a $60 game, which is a bit steep, you know, for a 2-year-old game. Granted, it does have all its content in it, but if I were to be honest, I think it should be like $40. I think it's a little overpriced, but hey, details, right?
It's
but the game is fun, right? It's a fun little game, and it's not that bad. It's pretty enjoyable, all things considered.
Out of all of the like open world games, I can definitely see why people talk about it the way they do.
But my big issue is Ubisoft, and not just that Ubisoft, like when it comes to the Assassin's Creed franchise, the last time I really truly enjoyed Assassin's Creed game was Brotherhood. It was a long time ago. Black Flag was cute, but it was not really an Assassin's Creed game. Brotherhood
No,
was the last one.
unironically, they wanted to make a pirate game, and it's like, ah, shit, that's right, it's an Assassin's Creed game.
Yep.
Which is funny, because they made Black Flag, and like I'm not excited, but I thought Skull and Bones would be like Black Flag but better.
No.
But somehow they managed.
Before we move on to Skull and Bones, like we'll move back to this franchise. So this franchise has kind of been suffering. They tried to resurrect it with Odyssey, and that saw praise, and so did not just Odyssey but Origins. Origins changed it into an RPG. My problem with the RPG formula was that it just made it grindy, and you could see the predatory business practices seep in. I love the idea of Odyssey when I played it, and this idea of this massive Greek expansive world to explore, and I love exploring like these sort of historic locations that are, you know, redone. But my problem, I think, boils down to the fact that it's incredibly greedy. Like, there's microtransactions up the ass in a single player game, just to progress the game story, and there's an incredible amount of grind to block you from exploring and actually enjoying the content. So this is something that's been an issue, and it's an issue because, yes, do we all care about the Assassin's Creed franchise anymore? Not really. But the fact that Ubisoft gets away with this means that other companies will follow suit. So everything is a battlefield when it comes to, business practice. This is honestly something. Now, the controversy about the black character thing, and we did look up the historical stuff, there was no black samurai. I mean, this guy existed, but he wasn't a samurai. That's just a bunch of hogwash.
Best, it is agreed that he was a retainer, but just because you're a retainer does not mean that you're a samurai.
He was basically a coward, and he fucking surrendered, and then he got sold back into slavery or whatever. It's a dumb story, but we're not going to focus on that because it's not really important.
We have a
Super
dono
quick-
though.
Super quick. Sorry.
We do.
Glow in the Dark donates $5 and says, "Institutional rot comes for all who don't have understanding as well as a higher calling, like making the best product for the customer and a vision."
Yep, that is true. But I don't want to go on the race thing because it's honestly a trap, and that's Ubisoft's intent
It
to
is
use
a
it.
trap.
But here's the big issue. Hold on. The thing is, when it comes to this game, is the reason why they're using the race thing is to get people to look at it. It's that shallow.
Outrage marketing.
There is no other reason. They're using a black person, and they're using him as a shield, so they can use it to get rage, to get sales, and that's their intent here, right? The reality is that this game is $70. That's the core crux of the issue. Not only is it $70, mind you, but there's cut content, and the game is also an early access game. Season Pass means early access. So
They're fucking monthly subscriptions.
Apparently,
they're
and
trying to push
apparently
their own
they are
philosophy.
trying to make the game always online because there's rumors that there will be mini battle passes in the game, and
I'm not entirely
Stuff like that.
surprised. I mean,
Yeah.
after playing Odyssey and that, they had in Odyssey they also had shit like this too. It's pretty bad because it's been going on for a long time. In Odyssey, what was it? They have some I can't remember. They had this thing where you could buy some premium currency to get your stuff faster, level faster or something like that, and it was really dumb.
And you know what's even better? If you want to start a new game, you can buy all of that stuff all over again.
Now, the other thing is, this is, I think, the first, as not a name, not a number, not alive, which you are alive, you lying little shit, because this is going to be the first AC game with a non-fictional protagonist. I think AC should always be fictitious MCs, with historic side characters like Da Vinci or Teach.
I was about to say, it always had them, it just wasn't the
Yep.
protagonist, yeah.
Well, that's why you should let me
Yeah.
finish reading, you little munchkin. Now, the thing is, yeah, it's honestly, it just feels like them doing this now feels shallow, and that's because it is shallow. It is incredibly shallow, and that's, I think, the ultimate crux here. When it comes to the character choice, it's done purely for a rage bait. That's it. And the Japanese market that which they have already, by the way, been oh, the Japanese market was responding positively by literally making puppet accounts and sock puppet accounts to make comments.
I've seen discussions because I'm in some circles that are very left wing, and those people well, the Japanese love it because they're fine with seeing Oda Nobunaga as a little girl, so seeing a black guy is something they just wholly embrace. And sure.
The thing is, they're not.
They're not gonna
actually,
fuck the black guy.
They're
That's
actually
the
no.
thing.
So I've actually read what they've been writing, and they're actually upset. They're upset because what the hell? How come everybody else's Assassin's Creed game is the native person of the country it's set in? Assassin's Creed 3, I didn't like. I thought it was shit. But what's the native character? The native character is a Native American. It's set in America. What's the Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood? Italian, because it's an Italian character.
It's Rivellino.
He's a native Italian.
So it's set normally as a native from the culture it's from, which is fair. They did it for Britain, they did it for the French game, which I didn't play either of those because honestly at that point that the fatigue for the franchise was setting in. Then I came
Thanks for
back
that
after
swap.
Origins with Odyssey because it was set in Greece, and I like Greek antiquity.
A
They should
lot
have
of
just swapped the black guy is a supporter character. That would have worked. But
Well, no, they can't
oh.
do an Asian character purely because of DEI reasons.
I'm not sure if it's purely because of that. One thing that I did notice is that a lot of the Japanese guys that are complaining have the same complaint that I do, that like it's a game that's supposed to be more based on history, and like my issue is not that Yazuki is there. My issue is that it's historically incorrect, because like the ritual is like, if you know history, that history over
I
there,
mean,
like it's
The
yeah.
one thing I'll grant about Assassin's Creed is it's never been historically accurate.
no, they were historically
No, it
inspired,
never
not
has.
accurate.
It's absurd in terms of its overall design. Like it's like,
Yeah, no, I
in fact,
know.
the overarching plot is actually terrible in my opinion. It's like
Yeah, but
There's a reason why they
alien
toned that one down.
superhumans or something. It's like, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up. Like the problem with Assassin's Creed writing is the writing strength has never been in the overarching plot. The overarching plot's always been the thing dragging it down. The strength was in the
interesting to
individual
have-
stories in each era, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's
And it is
separate.
interesting to have. Oh, this is a big character in Assassin's Creed. Oh, this is Ben Franklin, and oh, you get to meet him. And yes, it's historical, no, but this is still in a way cool.
What I didn't like about Assassin's Creed 3 was that it tried to make all the, like, our founding fathers look like cowards and fools.
Well,
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't
because they
really-
actually don't.
3
respect
was
less.
reaching what we call proto-wokeism, which is basically
It
the
was the
beginning
woke
of
ones.
that.
I will
the
say,
politicization.
I've been trying to find the article where I saw it because I saw a screen cap of the article to the reason as to why they had Yusuke as the main character. I can't find it. So for now, this is just me claiming I saw a picture of it. But the reason, from what I saw, that they wanted him as the main character is they wanted to tell a samurai story that wasn't specifically just Japanese, which seemed odd to me considering you're appealing to that entire aesthetic and culture, yet you don't want it to be set in that culture or have the
Yeah,
main character set in that culture.
I saw something similar to that yesterday, Hands. I couldn't
I'm
find it
trying-
again.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Mhm,
find it
yeah.
again though. So
The
that's
one
what I'm
I
saying.
saw
For now,
was
it's
saying
just
specifically
click.
they needed a non-Japanese character that could be believable in some way in the setting, so that they could push their own ideas about it for the in-game setting.
But yeah,
Like they needed basically a
I,
character to be a mouthpiece for them.
yeah, that's I didn't want to say like any of the other stuff that I remember seeing just because like I want to find the article again, but I can't.
which is funny because they are doing a lot of comparisons between this game and Neo 1, but the guy in Neo 1 was literally a samurai in real history. He
Yeah,
was one of the
apparently.
few. He was one of 2 white guys that became samurais, like literal samurais back in the day.
Garage says that it was a Famitsu article. They wanted a foreigner.
There you go. Okay, so someone at least
I get
can
why.
say.
I think I get what the justification is. The reason why they want a foreigner is you want the bright-eyed adventurer, right? Like in our game, we use Aya as the bright-eyed character entry point because she's learning, she's new, she doesn't really know everything, and so you use an entry point character, somebody who hasn't come of age, who hasn't, who's out of place, so that they have to learn the customs. You can kind of introduce the world that way. The thing is, they could have just made it be like, okay, this is some guy who's going to become a samurai and wasn't originally, or maybe, he's an imposter. The samurai he ran into was dying and he stole his armor, and now is basically trying to fill the shoes of somebody who's not there. There's so many more interesting avenues of approach.
Pips, I'm gonna
And
call
I'm
bullshit.
just using tropes as like a crux here.
I'm gonna call
Dano's
bullshit.
saying they deleted the article.
No, this is according to.
Hold on, let Fairman say his
it's-
piece.
Yeah, I call bullshit. I can also tell you, the black guy is gonna be the person that teaches. No, wait, the other one's a female.
Yes, who's more empowered
yeah.
here? Hmm?
Oh, it's usually the females because I'm pretty sure I've seen the
Either
writer
way,
is
I don't really give a shit about the story. The big thing that's actually more disgusting than this, and the character, again, irrelevant.
The gender behind
irrelevant.
it.
The gender, the race is irrelevant. The real crux of the issue is the fact that, look at this shit.
It's gonna unironically cost you an arm and a leg.
It's gonna, like, if you don't want the cut content, you need to pre-order and get $70, right? But
Mhm.
not only is it $70 for the not having the immediate cut content, you're also buying an early access game. The season pass means that the game is not complete. So on top of
It's
that, you're paying
The $17
$70
are monthly.
for an early
monthly.
access. No, I'm not talking about that yet. We're on 109. $109 is so that you get the final game when it releases, and you get 3 days early access. So you get to experience all the bugs early. Nice.
Yay,
Uh,
paid beta testing.
Now this is probably also this is horrific. I'd rather like the subscription price for WoW, isn't it like $15? Right?
They're trying to
Isn't
do
it
their own
12?
Game Pass. Is
They're,
what
they're
that
trying
is.
to create their own Game
Yes.
Pass, yes, because $18 a month? Are you fucking kidding me? No. Like, I'd rather play for Blue Bytes Anno 1800, which is a fantastic city builder, which is unfortunately
is.
under Ubisoft, and I would just wait for a sale and buy all the expansions. Because accumulatively, $18 a month, like within 3 months, you're basically going to be paying more money than you would for the base game. If the game still has, replayability at all. Assuming it does, right?
It's like the paradox thing.
When
you
you
can
enter
do
4
now.
months, you've immediately now gone into the red, meaning that your value is not exchanged there. It's not good. That's bad. That's really bad.
Now, kids, do
There-
you think anyone's going to play this game for more than a month?
There are
Uh,
people that will actually, yes.
Yeah.
They did with the
Yeah,
Viking one.
definitely.
And considering if
Right.
you want to actually beat these games, how long they are, because I played the fucking Viking one, and oh my god, it was grindy as sin. It was grindy.
Yeah, it looked
but-
really bad.
I actually quit playing it after like a few days because it was just so bad. Like, it's-
Another people. Sorry.
gosh darn it, Bina. You gotta stop being so interjecty. Beat the Bina.
Sorry.
Not good enough. Sorry's not good enough. Stone him. My theory
Okay.
is that Ubisoft execs just wanted to maximize the diversity bucks. Encroaching on Japanese history was a bonus. Checkmark, and the execs all cash out when the investment funds get deposited. They might. That might be something they do. But the reality is that it's happening, and it's already
Not
in
good.
works. Nothing is going to change it. The outrage isn't going to change it by now, because it would require a redoing of the entire storyline and character. They're committed. They're gonna do this. They've hedged their bets. It's all in now.
Yeah.
You know one thing that I don't understand how people don't. That would be the true outrage, in my opinion. Back in the day, for Black Flag, the special edition back in the day was cheaper than this one. It had physical goods, and like it came with a massive. I have it. I bought it for cheap. It had a massive like statue of the main character. Very detailed, very beautiful. This one's like $130 for just the base game,
Actually,
and-
Not Alive here said something that was that the Japanese people were also complaining about in game for Shadows. That also saw this. They're pointing out that the architecture and like the trailers and stuff that they're seeing isn't even traditional Japanese architecture.
They didn't even research it properly. That'd be funny. Now
It's like a hodgepodge of Asian cultures.
Oh,
I
so
mean,
it's the Chinification of architecture.
Theoretically, if we were to give them the benefit of the doubt, which I'm not going to, but theoretically, the game may take place in Japan, China, and like Korea, maybe. Like it could theoretically. I don't think it will. I think it's going to be set in Japan, and it could be just bad research, which is funny because one thing that Ubisoft used to be known for is they did a lot of research on their stuff. At least when it came to a lot
They
of
used to send
architecture
out
and cities.
researchers to the specific areas they were going to have their game set in.
Yep, they would actually look at the landscape, take pictures, and come back. Like
Wasn't
when it came to, we even did that for our indie game. Like we had fucking Carlos do a little bit of a road trip to around Europe to get some inspiration for certain cultures and themes. And it's a good way to get direct references because there's a difference between just going to Google Images and actually going to a location to get references. Being there helps.
wasn't there also that instance where one of the Assassin's Creed games, because they were so accurate to the architecture, was used to help rebuild like Notre Dame or something when there was a fire?
I don't
I remember reading an article about that.
That might have been because Notre Dame did burn down, unfortunately.
Oh, I remember when they tried to modernize. Ugh.
Oh, let's not even get into that. That's another fucking mess.
Also, on them pushing the finding their own Game Pass thing, it's funny because it's now coming out. Game Pass is literally just costing Xbox an absurd
lot
amount
of
of money.
money.
They can't sustain it at all.
Well, the thing is, it actually it's very understandable because it sounds great on paper, but the thing is, it's like the massive sales they get from that, like what they used to be able to do, or not used to be able to.
Well, if it's
Where
Notre
it's-
Dame Chatfish, it's not going to be AC2 or Brotherhood. That's set in Italy. It's going to be Unity, the French one.
Yeah.
But like losing out on the big sales because like a lot of people did buy those games, and it's like okay, you could pay the $130 for this or the like $18 a month. Like just using this as an example, it's like don't get me wrong, like that's great, but it's like that's more going to other things, not just like the developers. So it's like yeah, I can definitely see why for people who don't give a shit, and it's like okay, I'll just pay for the subscription. It's great for them. But for any individual like dev, like it's actually a bad deal, in like over the long run.
Yeah. Also, it's just the Game Pass. Like when it first comes out, people are gonna be like, "Oh, this sounds like a really cool thing. I'll get it." And then like that'll make the numbers look really big, and then people just okay, I'm done. They stop, and then then the numbers just plateau or even start to decline. You get that spike when they first introduce it, and then it just doesn't really grow
'Cause it's
anymore
like,
after that.
Once they play the games they want to play, why have the subscription?
Yeah.
Yep.
And if they're smart, they would be paying less money than if they just bought the game.
Mm-hmm. I played the game for $1 that I would have to pay $70, and then I was like, I played a little bit, and then I installed and stopped paying. And I saved like $68.99. You just imagine that, like thousands of people doing that. How many millions they lost?
The last
also one
Ubisoft
of-
game I played that was good, chat, was Anno 1800. Anno 1800 is pretty good, but Blue Byte also fell off with their game after that. It might have been that I was right about the whole peak thing, which I didn't want to be. Because I said when we were playing Anno 1800, I'm like, this is so good, I think they peaked. And now I'm thinking that they did. Fair minutes over.
Consider kids, we'd already mentioned, because considering there is already very DIE stuff in that game. Very much.
Yes, Anno 1800 did have some DEI stuff in it. Very. Or are people calling it die now? Okay, I guess it's.
I don't
No,
know.
no,
that is
it
more,
used to be it used to be die. Then they changed it because it was a bad acronym.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but either way, it had woke shit
Oh,
in it.
fuck it.
because
If it's a bad acronym, die. Die is easier to say than DEI. Thank
Yeah,
God.
yes. Why do you think they wanted to change it?
Also, I think die is very fitting because you have that one in it and you die.
You died! Yeah, that's kinda
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, no,
very on the nose.
Anno 1800 does have die in it. Now, Blue Byte always kind of had a little bit of die going on. They
I mean,
also
they
had
were
that-
always very.
They've always had that
left-leaning.
really cringe. Like, I love Anno 2070 because of the underwater thing, but like, it was cringe. It was in the eco days of environmentalism extremism, where it was like,
They call
The-
it bridge now.
Wait,
Okay,
it
so
was gonna
apparently we're all
die.
wrong. It's bridge now.
Honestly,
no.
we call
no,
it
it's
die.
honestly,
Die's
just-
easier.
It's
Bridge
not
sounds dumb. Bridge sounds
the whole
dumb.
Anno 2017 eco thing, I say, that's fine if you use it as a backdrop. And
Oh my god,
okay,
Bridge.
fair enough. But
Dude, chat.
You know, that-
okay, listen, hold on.
That's why I was laughing because it's like
I'm
bridge.
thinking.
yeah, bridge. This is the bridge to your
No,
graveyard.
no, no. Homeworld Cataclysm. So Homeworld
Yes.
Cataclysm, whenever you click on your mothership, Bridge.
Yes, that's why I was laughing.
It's
Because
funny
I'm just now imagining the cataclysm bridge.
Bridge.
You need to build bridges to lift up those weak people.
Oh my god.
What does it mean now? Whom could say? They'll
See,
make up whatever acronym they want.
The worst part is actually I've been really itching for an Assassin's Creed game. Like, I want one. But like,
Yeah, you have one.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, we
have the old ones, yeah.
No, you
Oh.
have Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of
Yeah,
Tsushima is
pretty much.
it's very similar to an Assassin's Creed game, but it's also not quite. It has
It's
enough
too
to
fun.
it has enough to be its own. Well, hey, hold on.
Well,
I
no,
enjoy
no,
Brotherhood.
If it was
I will-
just
I'll hear none of this
Assassin's Creed-
Chatfish Hebrew nonsense.
No, Fairman. If it was
Chatfish.
just Assassin's Creed, the main story would only be from the shinobi perspective, but they do offer you the samurai way of
Mm.
playing, which is like I am going to go in, I'm going to engage all of them. Like that's not necessarily.
I almost
Assassin's
guarantee you this is
Listen.
not gonna be a thing. He's
The-
gonna sneak around.
Well, this game's probably gonna be like all these the modern Assassin's Creed games are just kind of shit. Like that's the problem. Like, and they've kind of been that way. Like, I think the only thing I enjoyed about the Viking game at all was going as far north as I possibly could so I could look at Hadrian's Wall. And some of the vistas and stuff looked cool. But beyond that, like, oh my god, the game was awful. In terms of grindiness.
I just remember watching you play that at first, and it's like, this just doesn't seem interesting.
It was.
And it also had characters where it's like, okay, so explain this to me. Why would someone who would, in this culture at best, be a shield maiden, be leading the entire warband?
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I will say this, that even Ghost of Tsushima has a little bit of this. Now, they're not as in your face about it, but the amount of women samurai is insane. Or women warriors. Where it's like, okay.
The thing is, there is historical precedent for it.
I mean, it has
Like, if I
happened,
remember right,
yes.
the Emperor had, like, they weren't geisha bodyguards, but he did have those, like, female bodyguards.
The big thing is, yes, this stuff did
Female
happen.
assassins.
But the other thing to take away from this is that it's also not common. It's more of an oddity when it happens. Like the grandma character, fair enough. The shinobi girl, eh. And the straw hat girl, it's like, okay, come on. Okay.
If
come
she's a
on.
female ninja, she's not a shinobi, she's a, what's it called? Kunchi. Kunochi.
Oh yeah, that word.
Kunuchi.
Kunochi,
I
but
like
they're
how
mainly
Boogie
the...
immediately says it. We
Yeah, I would say,
Yeah.
but like immediately, without hesitation.
leave it to the talk.
But if I recall right, they were mainly killing people just, oh, I have sex with you, and then I just stab you in the back or something like that.
You know what I find hilarious, right? Our entire friend group is like, it's like the stereotypical. I've seen those Twitter memes because Dev
The
pointed this out
memes
to
of
me.
like the
Our-
racist group of friends.
Our friend group is literally the racist group of friends, where it's like we're completely. We've got Strato, he's fucking black. We got fucking Boog, he's a Mexican. We got Reguline, he's Italian. We got fucking Bino, he's a South American, and like
We have Fairman, who's, you know,
the mental one, yeah, the mental.
I'm just saying, you know, his
We got hands,
ancestors
we got
had
the Jew, you know.
a specific fashion sense.
What I find funny is how, on paper, they're supposedly appealing to our group of people, but like we can't stand their shit. We can't stand it. The problem is we don't want diversity, equity, and inclusion because equity isn't equality. And equity is also just a fucking awful thing. Equity is like you take the tall guy and you slice his legs off so he's as short as the short guy.
You know, I want, if you want a fish out of water story, and I say this, I want a thing where you have either samurai goes to medieval Europe or a medieval knight goes to feudal medieval Japan, because that would be fun just for the whole
Samurai.
crying, and make it somewhat realistic, because just the crying of the katana nerds would be funny.
Well, the thing is, anytime I would think about that, I would think about this one particular Game of Thrones
Honor.
scene before the show went like really, really bad, where there's this guy who has like a cutting weapon, attacks like a fully armored knight, it hits the armor, and he just looks at him, and the knight just stabs him. It's like, what did you think was gonna happen?
There's this one artist that draws a comic, and they have that where, oh, katana was shot, you're already dead. And then the fucking katana is bent over, and oh no, just got knocked out.
Wasn't that a scene in Game of Thrones? Hands.
Oh my god.
I said that.
Okay.
I said
didn't
I said
catch
it was a scene. I said
Oh
it
my
I
was a
God,
didn't
you
scene.
did
catch
a-
the start.
Rapier, you did a hand, and for all of the people to do it to, you did it to hands.
No, you did a Fairman rapier.
No,
Yeah.
no. You took something you said and sold it as a sound. That is 100% a hand.
You see, it's unfortunate you pulled a Fairman rapier. It's really sad.
Yeah. Look at him. Yeah.
We can always say that he pulled a regular line because
I
he's not
just don't
good
listen to
at
people.
himself.
Oh my god. But either way, I just find this whole nonsense ridiculous when it comes to it. But I'm 100% convinced that this is to mask these horrific prices, which Ubisoft has been pushing for a while now. And a lot of
To
other
be
companies
fair,
have been pushing the
it's
$70.
not. I wouldn't say it's not just them. It's
Yeah,
not just them.
The issue is that the reality is, as a developer myself, we shouldn't be charging people $60 for games. $60 is kind of old and unethical, in my opinion. It's greedy. The reality is mismanagement and executives taking more than they really should is honestly the reason why games are priced the way they
Or
are.
buying a full like 1-to-1 size statue of Nova. and then putting it in their main office.
And doesn't it fall over? I can't remember.
It did. They had to keep screwing down. I forget it was like the left or right foot because the center of mass was off balance. So it just
Yeah.
slowly like tipped over.
The things
So they
that
had to
they
keep
must have
riveting it
done.
down.
Just imagine the things that they did to that part statue.
Well, you know, that is one of the things where I think I'd let him splurge a little bit of money because it's also one of those things you probably can use for PR. But
Well, that's
the
what
biggest
Yeah,
problem
but-
is just the bloat.
Well, the thing is,
Cause,
Cameron,
and what we
that's what I was leaning into. Is that like yes, they were using it, but the issue is they're spending so much money
yes,
on
and they're also
marketing
spending it
and
on
PR.
not just marketing. They also just have very bloated teams, and they also do the thing like I think
Bloated teams, yes.
Microsoft did that, no, or Bethesda. They had this game Hi-Fi Rush, sold very well, and they
By
even
all
said, "Oh yeah,
metrics.
by all metrics, sold very well," and it overperformed. Yeah, we closed the studio. Why?
If I remember right,
Yeah.
because of that, someone actually asked like one of the higher ups. It's like, okay, so what should we as like other devs think when by all metrics of success a studio succeeds, but then we close them down anyway? Like, what are we supposed to think about that? And they're like, good question.
What
Also-
they want the brand names to be great, but they don't want a single entity as a studio to be popular because that is going to be a little bit harder to control than just the brand name.
I just
Burford
realized I
points
didn't
out-
put away my groceries.
Nice.
Fortunately, there's
Burford-
nothing sensitive there, so I can do it
It's
later.
Sunday. Why did you buy groceries on Sunday? What the fuck?
Because I kept forgetting to. Either way, I
Celebrate-
just looked
just
over my
celebrate
shoulder. But the
As people keep interrupting Rapier.
Sounds good.
now, Chumba, say you were saying.
I was saying Rifford was pointing out when digital games are supposed to actually be cheaper than physical. At one
Yes, they
point.
are supposed to be. So back to the price thing, because I'm autistic and I got fixated on the grocery thing. So they should be like $40 to $50. $50 at most, 50 still kind of pushing it. And yes, the production of games should be going down because technology is getting easier and cheaper to use. And this is something that I myself has experienced. You know, like literally, chat, you have donated money to us, right? And you've seen what we've been able to make with the donations we get. We can do that just like with 10, 14 people. These studios have hundreds, sometimes thousands, and they have like millions and millions of dollars. How are they unable to produce anything of quality, yet we can outdo them?
Well, there's no will.
Like, it's retarded. It's retarded.
A lot of those jobs are also just people who just show up and do nothing.
Yeah, show up or do
I mean-
nothing, or like there's just like they hire people. They also hire people based on like diversity, right? I got in an argument with one of the people at Hairbrain Schemes on Twitter back when it was called Twitter, and I basically, because they were like, we're hiring to be diverse, and I confronted them and I was like, hey, but like, shouldn't you hire based on skill? I'm like, no, that's racist. You don't hire people based on skill. We hire based on diversity. When they made HBS Battletech, and that's why it was so woke, because they hire people not based on skill, but based on agenda and race. And so,
That
because of the politicization of things in the industry, this is why things are getting the way they are. This is why Hairbrain Schemes Battletech is not a good game. It's actually a disappointing letdown of a game, and will always be. Because it just simply lacks the ability to tell good, competent stories. That's why there's Mary Sue's
It
in
also
That's why
disrespects the
Alright,
lore.
kids.
it
that means-
disrespects the
wait.
lore. It spits on the lore. It
Yes.
spits on the franchise. It spits on the fandom.
Because why
it's-
would Comstar let some random fuck off captain, let alone one of the big houses, keep a ship that is that important and that rare?
Yeah, like it's ancient, like this ancient, like super powerful and advanced Star League ship they find, and there's only 2 of them apparently, and some fuck off mercenary company is able to carry it, and nobody intervenes.
Yeah, it's not like they haven't like just yeeted very powerful and important people before for less.
Yep. Oh man, it annoyed me. It annoyed me. And this is why I want to tie it back to talking about Sins of Solar Empire. We streamed it yesterday. Sins of Solar Empire and the industry attacking, basically, they're attacking Brad Wardell's game. Because Sins of Solar Empire is a good game. So they played an out-of-date version of it, right? And because I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. And they basically lambast it is like, it's mediocre, it's not very good, you know, and people are pointing them out because they're trying to push it down because Homeworld 3 is part of the end, part of the political crowd, part of the agenda. Blackbird Interactive, part of the agenda. Stardock and Ironclad Games make game based on merit, based on skill, based on quality, based on passion. Respectful to the original source material, not spitting on the fandoms. They are now being attacked by
That's
the
why
media.
that is a spawn as far as these people go.
The best part is the media is attacking them because why would they attack this game? Now, normally they just ignore the Stardock when it comes to most stuff. But because Sins of Soul Empire came out right next to Homeworld 3, and now Sins of Soul Empire, well, no, it didn't come out on Steam yet. It's actually to be released, but it's on Epic right now. But they're scared because Sins of Soul Empire is going to eclipse Homeworld 3 in the long run. Because one of these games is good, and one of these games sucks. And you obviously know which ones, chat. We all know it. We all know it. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. And that's why it's important to point it out. That's why it's important to be like, hey, wishlist Sins of Soul Empire 2. Check it out if you got Epic and you don't mind Epic. Or if you want to wishlist it, you can check it out on Steam. We'll be streaming it more because it's a good game. And yeah, it's fucking awesome. It's everything we want in a space RTS. It's a return to form, and it's a good RTS. That's all that needs to be said about it. Other than the
also why
fact
it's
that I'm a
important.
big fucking fanboy for the goddamn franchise. When they said, because, oh my god. See, you gotta understand, chat. If you're not familiar with this game or franchise, when they said that we're probably not gonna make another one because it seems not likely, and then they took a deal with Epic, and then they did, that was like, oh my god, the impossible. We actually got a sequel to an RTS that, for all intents and purposes, was dead.
And it was only being kept alive by the modding community because people enjoyed it that much.
Yeah.
You cannot buy Sins of the Solar Empire 2 yet, but it will be coming out.
You can just type in
this
Sins.
Soon, a few months or at most, I think.
You can just type in Sins. It'll be at the top of the list.
Also, on the review thing
But it's
on
wishlisted. Or wishlistable.
IGN, it's important to also go and review games that are actually good and stuff on Steam or whatnot,
Yes.
so we can negate the.
Because they're going to
activism.
try to shout down the game. Yeah. That's their standard run-of-the-mill strategy. It always is, right? But the third quarter, this game is going to be coming out. And I played it. It's good. Trust in the Kib. The Kib does not lie.
Glow in the Dark donates $5. With 10 to 14 people, we were able to get Kibs to warp as a female VTuber and chat as Fish. Truly, we are better at design. What will the future hold?
Only time will tell. That's true. Only a handful of chat actually donates. And look at what they've been able to fund when it comes to our stuff. Look at how much art we have. We have custom art. This overlay, you guys funded. The code for this overlay, you funded. The music that's playing in the background that we had composed, you funded. Literally, the power of the wallet is an important thing. And while, yes, these companies, these bad companies that do this stuff, do have their own way of getting money and will keep doing anything, that's going to suck, right? But the reality is, if you like something and you support something that's good, do so. But if it turns for the worse, like Homeworld or whatever franchise, and they fall, stop playing them. Move on. Enjoy the games you do have. You don't have to adopt a black pill mindset. You need to adopt we have a lot of great things, right? Command & Conquer, dead franchise, in my opinion. It's not. It still exists as a mobile game. But the reality is, we still have Red Alert 2. We still have Red Alert 1. We have Generals. We have the Battle for Middle-earth games. And while, yes, the Battle for Middle-earth games aren't available for purchase anymore, Abandonware and other websites and places have them. People who are passionate archive them so that they can be retrieved and played today. And I recommend that you play Battle for Middle-earth by whatever means you need, because it's a fantastic old-school RTS made by really good developers that pays homage to Lord of the Rings. And it's awesome.
Return to propaganda.
And while certain franchises, like Rings of Power, may try to diminish and destroy the legacy of great things, do not let them erase those things. Forget the bad thing. Simply look at it, criticize it, say your piece, move on, and go back to enjoying things. Don't let these people take away Lord of the Rings. Don't let these people take away good games from you. That's what they want. If you like old school Call of Duty, well, play old school Call of Duty. Don't let them take that from you. If you like Warcraft 3 and Blizzard fucked it up, because Garbwire points it out too, you know, there are websites that will roll back the version of the game. I've done it, and I'll do it again. You can't stop me.
I'll do it again.
I have my original CDs as well, and I'll make sure to. I only use certain patches that have been archived, so I don't update it to
there's
get the
also
Reforged
the-
version.
There's
You can't
also the
take that
argument to be
from me,
made.
and you never will. You ne-
There's also the argument to be made that all they're doing is just legitimatizing or driving more people to piracy.
The thing is, as a former anti-piracy agent myself, when it came to like discussions with clients and stuff, like the reality is most pirate problems can be first resolved. The first way of dealing with piracy is dealing with the service question. The second way of dealing with piracy is dealing with the uploaders. Now, the service question is like, okay, well, how hard is it to obtain your product? Is it easier to pirate, or is it, you know, easier to buy? And if you make it easy to buy and affordable, well, there goes 90% of your pirate problem is just erased itself. Now you want to deal with the
Now-
remaining pirate problem, you hire somebody like me, and we just clean up the uploaders, and all of a sudden they're gone. You don't
Now,
see it
tips.
anywhere. You don't see.
Did you ever hear? That's very on topic. About the Assassin's Creed PC launch debacle.
Assassin's Creed, what launch debacle?
Assassin's Creed 2 had, I don't know if it was 2 or if it was Brotherhood or one of the spin-offs, but had on PC launch, all you need to be always online in a single-player game, and you needed a Ubisoft launch, and the servers couldn't handle it. So
I think I remember
Multiple-
hearing that.
for
yes.
multiple people I heard, I bought the game for $50 or so.
Mm.
Can't play it. Meanwhile, someone else has pirated the game, can play it, and it's even more stable.
Yep.
Hmm.
This is something.
So why
so,
would you pay money at that point?
So what's funny is I'm no longer an anti-piracy agent, right? Because I lost my job because we got replaced by bots and automation and stuff like that. The problem is when you take away the people side of the anti-piracy thing and you try to answer it with
Automation.
automation or online features or built-in
De novo.
anti-piracy measures, de novo, or old school anti-piracy
Which
measures built into
punishes
the
your
game.
paying customers.
I mean, the reason why Emperor Battle for Dune won't install on my PC anymore without severe like modding is because of an old anti-piracy measure on discs. And because of that method, because of doing that and building that in and baking it into the game, you have actually punished the people who buy things. This is why I should still be an agent. Actually, thank God I'm not, because I'd made
Remember
less money doing
Securom?
that. No, I
Rifford
remember.
gives
It also,
a
didn't
membership.
help it also didn't help your report software didn't work.
But the reality is like when it comes to it, like it really boils down to not integrating anti-piracy measures into the game itself. Because if you do that, if you replace Kibs with de novo, all of a sudden now everyone suffers and your PR goes down the gutter. When you could have had it done discreetly. When you could have... It's okay.
Rifford
I make
gives
more money
a
now.
membership and hits Sharko, and he says, hashtag hands choice.
Oh, nice. That's for Hinge's choice.
Squealy
Thank you for the
wait,
donation.
we already got Squealy Alarm.
Yeah.
Wait, you got this Willy alarm?
Stock fund?
Let me open up. Well, you can just continue discussing. I'll open up the document.
I already put it in current funds.
We need to, now that
Yeah,
this Willy alarm got
no,
funded,
for me to see what else is going on.
Okay.
we
But-
need to set up bot farms in India to keep calling Squilly at all times of the day.
The reason why I'm going to underscore Sins of Empire 2 again is because this is the guy that pretty much said that there wasn't really an or a piracy problem in the gaming industry. If I remember right, it was Brad Wardell. And the truth is, there really isn't a problem when you think about it, because the problem that exists is honestly 90% the fault of the game developers, not necessarily developers, but publishers themselves. They made this problem, right? Why do people download Battle for Middle-earth? It's because the licensing for the game is in dispute between EA, and EA didn't renew it with, you know, the Tolkien estate. And because that is in dispute, or the movies, I can't remember if it's Warner Brothers, whoever owns it. And because they didn't renew that license, those games are, you can't purchase them. How is it that Konoha Jeremy is going to play Battle for Middle-earth 2? How are you going to play that without being able to go out and buy like a $160 copy of the game that is like, you know, on the market, or a used copy? The reality is you're not gonna. And does buying those used copies, does that money go to the developers? No, the developer's gone. It doesn't make any money. Hell, EA doesn't get any money from that either. This is also why these companies don't really enforce anti-piracy or protection measures on dead games. This is why they sort of just leave them be. Because you know why? It costs money to police that stuff. It costs, you either have to have somebody like Kibbo do it, or you got to have a bot do it. And bots, let me tell you this, they don't work, and they're never going to find anything. They never get anything done anyways, because this stuff is too complicated for a bot to do. You need somebody to go in and read, and bots don't read. Bots just look for things based on certain hyperlinks, and if you just put a space bar somewhere, you're never finding shit.
I don't know. Those bots are getting mighty sophisticated nowadays.
They aren't.
That's what
Not
you're
in my
telling us,
sector. I'll tell you that much. As somebody who worked as an anti-piracy agent, like, pirates are much more clever than you give them credit. They are as smart as me, and they'll figure out ways and tricky
The
little
thing
things.
is, the absolute diehard pirates, whether people like to admit it or not, are actually fairly tech savvy.
Not only the tech savvy, but they're smart little bastards.
No, that's what I mean when I say tech savvy. Like that, the entire package.
I'm not just talking about tech.
Understand?
Like they'll
No, but
they'll
it's tied in.
do cheeky things like create, like, okay, you want access thing, you have to DM me. So then it's like, okay, now you gotta go out of your way, you gotta DM them, you gotta get into a circle, you gotta sign up to a thing and do this thing, and you gotta do all sorts of hoops. Like to the dedicated, there is no bot that will solve that issue. It's just not feasible.
You actually need.
They also get
pay
very
closer.
pissy if you pirate their pirated product.
No, you see, that's just funny.
That
What
is
the
funny.
fuck did you do as an anti-piracy agent? Well, sometimes I'd take down links, sometimes I'd infiltrate communities, you know, the usual stuff. You had to be sneaky. You put on a little hat and you're like,
Greetings, fellow pirater.
hey kids, I'm here to steal shit.
You know what? That is the thing with Kip's fucking natural
You joined
inclination
some
of
communities. I mean, Fairbear, we can talk about this a little bit, but Fairbear has helped with a few operations, if I remember right.
You were one.
Yep, you helped with one. Yep, because there was one that was a little bit more complicated, so I had to recruit a friend for it, and so we recruited Fairman
You
for
need
that
someone with
task.
the German IP or something like that.
Yep, to get around a certain loophole. And then we snuck in, and like they didn't know anything about it, and then we tore them apart from the inside.
Then Kibs is a woman. She's a woman. I say, but on the pirates thing, there's the issue that like, okay, even if you make things impossible to pirate, there's a point where people will be like, I'm not buying it and I'm not pirating it because it's not food. You know, you're not going to die if you not play the last Assassin's Creed. You get what I mean?
We understand the joke. We're waiting for you to continue.
He's dead.
No, it's not joke.
It's
It's
no
just saying
joke.
that,
Me Bino.
It's because
Irvine, you're also not gonna die if you're not trying anything to generate for a
It's
month.
no
Yet you
joke.
still do it.
I will
Bino.
because I get paid for that. Like that's factually
No,
incorrect.
no, you do not get paid for being joined the generator. That is your decision.
No, like they literally say like things like draw the NF not safe for work.
The thing is, Fairman, for him, it's a bad feedback loop. He draws it so he attracts that clientele.
Listen,
Yeah,
chat.
it's a furry problem.
I never
Oh my
did
God.
anything mean as an anti-piracy agent. I always gave people a chance. Like, hey, you're gonna have to
He's
take
like,
that.
you will do what I say, or I'll rat you out to your government, and they'll take you out back, and then no one will ever see you
No.
or your
Kip-
family
Kip-
ever again.
Kips never strung a person up. He gave him the rope and built the gallows, but they walked it themselves.
No, the reality is like when we did stuff most times, like if we'd look at people, because sometimes it'd be on YouTube, right? And I would look on these websites and I'd be like, I'd see somebody and they have a channel and they have like content and subscribers. I'm like, I don't really want to take down his channel and make him lose all that, because that's like a lot of people, and he took a while to build that. And you can see that he's actually made things. So clearly this individual uploaded this probably not realizing he did it by, you know, intentionally. So you reach out to them and you just get a hold of them, you email them, once you get a hold of them, they're like, hey, you know, you're not supposed to have that up. You got to take that down, or we're gonna have to take it down ourselves. When we take it down, you get a strike. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know. And it's like, okay, you know, no problem, no harm done. And then they take it down. Problem solved. Peaceful solution without having to ruin someone's life, right? But Kibs got replaced by bots, so now they just do it anyways. Just
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
speaking on bots real quick
Oh.
and about the industry.
scream.
Uh,
What?
one thing that I have been people have been saying, I agree, is that like all these big suits are talking about replacing devs and replacing this and that with AI, right? The thing is, the AI is never going to do as good as a job as people that worked on good games.
Oh yeah, no.
But
I
like
mean,
all
AIs do
these,
bad jobs in general. Like,
yeah,
you know
but
what was funny? After we got replaced by a bot, we actually just did an audit to check their content, and their content's being pirated more now than it ever was before. I'm not going to name the client, but I thought that was incredibly interesting that their piracy problem went from manageable and well tamed to, yeah, hardcore people still steal it, but they were never going to buy it anyway, so that's not a lost sale, right? To rampant piracy, now they're losing money. It's like, well, you made that issue. You get fucked in your own bed now.
No, but there's also the thing in the industry where like, okay, you hire people that are bad at their job because of like this or that die, like we were talking about, right? And then you replace them by bots because even though the bot is doing a bad job, it will do a better job than the incompetent person that you hired before. So you're closing a job opening that could be to someone doing the good job better than both
It
the
could be a
bots and
savant.
the
Yep. I mean,
yeah.
the artist. Okay, so here's a cool little fact to it. So the artist who came up with like the TIE Fighter and the X-wings and the Death Star and all those cool ships and the Star Destroyer was literally one man, and it was like a guy who's like, I'm gonna make shapes that are gonna be so like interesting, they're gonna stick in your mind forever. Like when I close my eyes, I can see them. I can see them as if they're right there with me right now.
Like, say what
Like
you will,
toys even.
the TIE Fighter is a very distinct silhouette.
And that took a person to make. There are some things that you cannot replace with artificial intelligence. Now, when it comes to certain things, there are some people that can be replaced by artificial intelligence. These people are what we call creatively
fucking
I knew it to come out sooner or later.
But these people are what we call not a problem. Know why? Because they weren't. They if you can, how do I put it? My art director, I think, put it this way: if you're afraid of being replaced by an AI, then you have bigger problems. Because an AI can't actually replace an artist. An AI can't really replace a writer. It's the only reason why
It can only pull from a pool of previously done work and then
if you're
replicate
concerned about being replaced by this AI, it's because you have no talent. It's because that's funny. Because it's true. If you have no talent, you're just regurgitating other people's work anyways. So you're basically just an AI already. And that's true. When it comes to modern writers, like a lot of modern TV shows have a lot of bad writing.
No,
and yeah,
man,
AI, here's why they should be concerned that AIs will replace them. Because you know what? AIs can't really make anything new. But honestly, using old shit is still better than what we get now, you know? Like, Jesus Christ. Modern games aren't worth pirating? Agreed. Agreed. That's how they dealt with their modern. That's the modern solution to modern piracy. Just make your game so bad that nobody wants to pirate it, right? Like when I was a little kid and I got my fingers on
face, or how's it called?
when I got my fingers on Stronghold 3, oh my god, I was like, this is the worst game I've ever played in my life. I remember desperately trying to get my fingies on it because it was like a game that was hard to procure. But I was like, why is it so negatively reviewed? Surely people are wrong. No. It's bad. It's bad.
No, it's in children. Well,
I miss when games would do fun little gimmicks if the game was pirated. Like Serious Sam where it would just
See,
spawn.
I never hardly pirated
an enemy.
anything, so I don't even remember this stuff.
I pirated mostly PS2 games because the PS2 and PS1 they were very, very popular because they were so easy to pirate, right? Over here, yeah. So like over here in Latin America, South America, like PS2 is still one of the most played video games, and then it got replaced later by the Xbox 360 because people pirated the hell out of it. You know?
Oh god. Go ahead, finish your thing.
And even though like they were very pirated, I remember that Brazil was still on the top 10 most countries that most consumed games back in the day, even during the height of piracy. That's something
Oh.
like that.
number uno.
Brazil number uno.
No,
Yes.
Chatfish.
Wait.
Blade donates 2 Aussie bucks. Say bots took Kib's gerb. They did, bastards. They took my gerb. That's okay. They gave me a new job. This job is fucking like I make more money now in my entire life, dude. Being a YouTuber. Glow in the Dark donates $5 to say machine has replaced Kib. Bots are bad at adapting to human behavior as we can change on a dime. So bots probably are bad against human interaction. They are. You know why? We used to use this automated scraper, link scraper thing. And it was fucking awesome for like the first month because it would be like you just press a button and like scrapes all the links and you wouldn't have to manually go get them. It was like nice, just scrape them and then take them and then delete them. Like problem solved, you know, for file hosting sites. Oh, it was so nice. And then the pirates figured out how to stop that scraper from working, and then we figured out how to make our own scraper because we hired programmers. And then like it was a fucking arms race of
Well, the
them
thing is,
adapting.
it's always an arms race.
I know,
When
but
it
Just
comes
look at
to
the
stuff
ad.
like that.
Just
That
look
was-
at the ad block
I
thing
know.
on YouTube.
I know. But this was the coolest part about being an anti-piracy agent. It was kind of like playing a game with somebody else that you were playing against, and they were like actively like trying to come up with strategies. And so like you'd go to bed and you'd be like, God, like I wonder what they're doing now. It's like, oh, the scraper doesn't work, like because they put like some sort of like slash in it. Now I gotta update the program thing to read that, or they do something else and make the image a PNG, so it's not like you have to type the links. And so it's like it was kind of fun in that regard because it was like a game almost that we played.
That reminds me of that article. Maybe that one was fake, but about in Tokyo, gangs using drones to deliver drugs. Police comes out with net drones to entangle them, and then the gangs coming out with net drones to entangle the police drones. And then it's just this, yeah. And the verdict is the police never had as much fun. And just I can actually see that happening because it's just like a video game in real life.
Remember, people, you get a girl that thinks about you in her bed while you the same way that Kips thought about the parts. I
What?
wonder what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I was like wondering what they're like gonna do because like it was my job, so I was being paid to come up with solutions for it, right?
Too bad. No, I just imagine now, like Kips the little pony is in bed. It's like, oh, I wonder what
Its
they're
nemesis
doing.
was a 15-year-old
What's wrong with you?
Romanian.
Albine's
Fantasies
advice
are
is to get a
bleeding
woman that
over.
thinks of you as a job.
Damn, Bino. He shoots
Damn.
slow. Bino destroyed.
I didn't hear, but I assume it was a story. Yeah.
Oh my god. I was just thinking about reminiscing in my mind about old job. Man, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore.
Oh, I miss my old job. Boy, am I glad I'm not doing it. What
I
is
miss
it?
certain parts about it, but like to be honest, going through websites filled with porn links is always just kind of, and porn ads was just kind of annoying and gross. Like some of those ads are really gross. I don't want to get
It's
into
just-
it anymore.
Like that
Yeah,
one
but Kib's
scene
just-
from that old anime where it's a character who's like looking through a bunch of that stuff and it just pans through and it's like, kill me. Just kill me.
Ew! I'm not amused, but aroused.
Ugh, gross. No, disgusting. Honestly, repulsive. You don't know. You don't understand. None of you.
Oh,
none
I
of you can
understand.
no, none of you know. None of you know
Oh, I
what
know.
I've
I
seen.
know. I know. Oh, I've seen things. Kibs,
You
wouldn't
don't,
believe.
Bear Bear. I guarantee that. Now,
Mhm.
Doubt.
when I started playing PC games, we knew of no place to actually buy any. All games came on different amounts of floppies from friends of a friend. See, for me, I was a little baby, so video games were already around me, and I just sort of inherited people's things from our family. That's why when Hans has seen my collection, but that's why it's so big. Because either my parents would give me stuff, because my parents were divorced, so I'd be like, Mom, I want these games. Dad, I want these games. Because my dad taught me, hold on, you should diversify. Your mom's going to get you what you want, and I'll get you what you want, okay? So that we can get more games. I'm like, that's pretty big thinky. That's big thinky.
Father tells son, abuse the fact that your mother is living in a different house to get you different games.
And so I got double the games. So that's why I had a PS2 and an Xbox. That's why I got a GameCube as easily. Because you know what? It's pretty easy once you know how to manipulate the market.
It must be nice if your parents that are just boomer enough to that one works.
Oh, it was great. And that's how
All
I was
I
able to
had
get
was
my
a
hands on
Dreamcast.
so much. I had to pick that up later. I don't think I inherited that one. I picked
I
that one
usually got-
because I wanted to collect it.
I usually got consoles after they were already off the market because my father's looked at this and would go, "Oh, paying for that? That's bullshit. You already have one."
I had to turn on my Dreamcast with a key.
Oh man.
Uh,
See, thinking about Assassin's Creed again, because I lament about it, right? The problem is annoying. Oh, Glowing Dark Knight $5 say, Kibbs dreams of pirates, as they were always after booty. Kibbs can't forget when the pirates got the booty. What the fuck's wrong with you? Thank you for the donation.
yeah,
think-
that is a
I think
question we are
Dino's
trying to
rubbing
figure
off
out.
on chat a bit too much.
Chat's becoming little beano fish. Disgusting. Fluffy little things.
A filthy, filthy little thing. Filthy little comic book.
Just remembering things. But now I'm also remembering Assassin's Creed, because we talked about that earlier.
SS Creed.
And like, this is an interesting thing, right? It's brought it back into the conversation, but like the reality is, Assassin's Creed, the Viking game, didn't care about it. The other one that was set in like the Middle East, I know even
That was
less
Ragnarok,
about that
wasn't
one.
it?
No, that's after Ragnarok.
No, I mean, the Viking one was Ragnarok.
There was one that was released after that about like the Middle East, and I don't even know anything about it.
Was there?
Yep,
There was an Egypt one.
that one's
Ah.
before. That one's before Odyssey.
The Middle East one is funny. I watched like a friend of mine playing, and it was basically like a woman causes the whole trouble. Like you're not going to kill the Caliph or something, and then she goes and kills the Caliph, and now it was like, why did you do it? What? But I'm a woman, something like that. So, it was funny. It was very
Woman
funny.
moment.
It was
Portraits.
literal woman moment. Yeah.
Portrait Seal says, well, maybe if Kib changed the water in the bucket, we wouldn't get so filthy.
You like being filthy, don't lie. In Bay Day at AC Mirage, says Chatfish. Yeah, that one. It was so much more Mirage, I didn't even see the damn thing. It just sort of
I
came and it went, and now we're on this one. That's why I wasn't... Last time I tried Assassin's Creed was the Viking one, because I generally tried, I think, all of them, but I just didn't like... I haven't liked an Assassin's Creed game since. Black Flag
Why
was
did
fun,
they-
but it was kind of overrated. Brotherhood was like the last one I truly enjoyed. And it really boils down to Ezio Auditore and just writing. They had an interesting character and an interesting story. And all the other Assassin's Creeds don't really have compelling stories.
The nice thing with Ezio is you met him for being a child when he was an absolute little shit until he becomes actually pretty decent character or person. So
Mhm.
I didn't care for Revelations, I'll say that much.
that one was a bit.
Revelations
Oh.
was the conclusion to a story arc, but it was very meh.
The one
I just
Assassin's
want to
Creed-
know
Sorry.
why they tried to, well, they switched Assassin's Creed to being more of like generic RPG with random loot
hated
and
that
stuff.
game.
Cause market research said that's what people want.
I remember everyone was praising Origins. Origins was like, oh, they brought back Assassin's Creed. Now it's all fucking grindy and RPG. And I'm just like looking at it like, God damn it. Like, it's awful. It's like, you have to pick up weapons, and the weapon's like, this does 5% more damage. It's like, oh, cringe.
Yeah,
I
you
hate
step the
that.
guy in the neck with a bronze blade. Yeah, but that doesn't kill him. I stepped him in the neck. Yeah, but with a bronze blade. So
Yeah, but that bronze blade only does 2 damage. It's like, but this one looks exactly the same, but does 7.
it went in its neck. He's bleeding out. He was doing the I'm dying animation. Yeah, but it's just because part of the animation.
2 damage, it did a little notch off his giant ass health bar. It's like, for fuck's sake. Like, I like RPGs, right? But when I play an Assassin's Creed game, I don't want to see an RPG. I want to see an Assassin's Creed-esque game, you know? And it's like
It's the entire problem these games
started being
always have.
anti-Assassin's Creed. And it's like, well, what is this about even? And then you're not even like an assassin. You're like a Viking in the Viking one. So it's like, what is this? What has happened? They've run out
What
of
is
ideas.
this? What am I?
Man, we just want to go back to the Ezio stuff. No, wait. If we go back to that, you know what they're going to do? There's going to be Ezio Transitore.
Ezio Auditori da
I think
Firenze.
Assassin's
The
Creed-
issue with that, it just makes me think of what they did with what was it? Odyssey, yeah, Odyssey. Where it's like they really, really wanted the main character to be lesbian, but then they ran into the issue of but
Law.
well, there's that, but the thing is, she also, unironically, needs to have a child that is canon, because that's literally where Desmond came from.
Mhm.
So she had to do that, regardless of what they wanted.
This franchise, it makes me sad because it brings up this franchise again, and the reality is that like it's gotten so out of like it doesn't even know what it is anymore. It's a franchise that's lost itself. It's,
So the thing with it, it's literally just brand recognition.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. Like Assassin's Creed, when I think about it, I think about like the white red look of them, you know? And now it's like I look at these outfits and does this look like Assassin's Creed outfits? Like they used to have an outfit. They used to have like this aesthetic. Now they don't. And like you could see in Assassin's Creed Unity that aesthetic was still there, but like it really dropped with Origins.
There is a problem with it. If okay, we're fighting these assassins for 1,000 years, and they always wear that outfit. Always.
That
how
was
are
dumb,
we
yes.
not finding these guys? How are we not
It's-
finding these
it's
guys?
like, Ezio Auditore wears a very flamboyant like dress and like with like red flare and white, and he's in a crowd of like brown dirty peasants, and it's like, where did he go? Oh, strange. What about that?
That's gonna be especially funny in Shadows.
Oh, where did the black warrior go? I saw just a black dude standing in a crowd, sweating, looking nervous.
Someone made a meme of that. They made a
Yeah,
meme
it was a G Prime or something.
That's awesome. You should send it to me.
It's like some peasant died, and it's like someone's been assassinated.
I'll get
Quick,
it. I'll post
look
it in
for
chat.
someone who's standing out, and then there's the black samurai just whistling and sweating in the background.
That sounds great. That's exactly what I have in my mind. Send it to me.
Yep.
It's
People posted on the server.
George Alexopoulos is the artist, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's the
Sounds
Greek
Greek.
dude.
He's he's Greek. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it might be.
All right, it's in chat. It's in the chat.
Bear.
All right.
Insensitive. No, I'm kidding.
No clips Greek.
No, boy, Gibbs Greek. Greek. Greeks are kind of cool, you know, without the whole gay thing.
We feel they have become a lot less gay since
Oh.
antique.
So do you want me
No shit. No shit. Oh, shit.
to? Do you want me to DM it to you or something?
You can. Send it to. Yes,
It's in
good.
chat.
I gotta cover
Yeah, I
my
posted it in
screen
the
so
stream room
Chatfish
chat.
don't see it. Google. Discord. If they had him wear yellow face, I'd even respect it. I think it would just be dumb. I just think the whole thing is dumb. I mean, that'd be funny, but that'd be stupid.
Don't open my DMs. Don't open my DMs. Don't open my DMs.
I know. Well, they can't see. Where did you send it? You lied to me.
I said it was
Is
chat.
it-
I just sent it to you directly.
My chat can't see that.
So are you saying you lied to Kips?
You lied to me. No, we just tried.
He put
That's
on the
actually
screen,
fucking perfect. My favorite part of this already is snap to those eyes right there in the bottom left. Right.
though.
This guy does actually pretty good stuff. I've seen it before.
He does, yeah.
He's very expressive. I know he's absolutely hated because he's a good artist, which is funny.
They hate him because he spoke the truth.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, and his political takes, they hate him for those.
Everyone's got different opinions. I don't really care. The big thing that bothers me the most is when they bleed into work, right? So, like,
Yeah.
Or if they try to pretend that it's not there. Like, that's the bigger
because
thing.
I've had left-leaning friends before, and while they've all drifted away because they're all insane, no I'm kidding. The thing is that I don't really care. Like, not everyone's gonna agree with everyone's politics. Not everyone's gonna agree with everything, and that's fine. That's the way I like it. A little bit of disagreement makes, you know, more interesting conversations anyways. Other than everyone going like, I like cookies. I like cookies. It's like, I like chocolate chip. I like chocolate chip. It's like, okay, well, all right. Well, now
And
you're...
Kips is there. I love
That's
fish.
it. That's all there is to say about it. You know, they're pretty chocolatey. It's like somebody else like, I like macadamia, and I'm like, that's disgusting. Die. That's
The-
disgusting.
The whole thing about like not being able to disagree with people though, like I always tell people, okay, about yourself 1 year ago. Do you agree with everything that you agreed that you did back then, or that you thought back then?
Some
Like,
people might be able to answer yes, but for me, no.
oh yeah. Mhm.
The fuck?
People change normally as time goes
Albine
on.
having reasonable takes.
Destroy Beano. Destroy.
Damn.
Can't let Beano
This
get.
is why Germany should have been.
There's Albine
Americanized,
I
yeah.
expected.
Yeah,
Good things can't last.
good things and man, when I when I discovered Germany had a dog attacks, I was like, oh my god,
Then
The
Germany
word-
had a what attack?
a dog tax. You guys need to pay a fucking tax to have dogs. It's like, oh my god.
Also, India, have
that's
you been so
so-
busy streaming? Like, you haven't like been around at all. Where have you been, Indy? Indy.
Indio, go draw the Prego art slave. Go.
No, it's not gonna be prego this time. It's gonna be fertility.
Damn. I'll
Damn.
never.
That way
forgive
we
you.
can. That way I can spin it as Beano is the one who wanted to do that.
Oh yeah.
You see what my plan is, Beano?
Yeah,
Bino,
regularizing
It's
your
this plan
plans
has been
already,
in
bro.
work for years. My goal was to destroy Beano, and now Beano will finally be destroyed.
Well, I will let you know that the things you're paying for speak otherwise.
Beano will be destroyed, whatever the cost. When there's nothing left but Beano ashes.
Then we can finally have peace.
Peace in the bucket.
And
one
finishing the
thing
Elden
that-
Ring thumb and doing sketches.
One thing that I'll say, I keep loving that like this whole debacle of Assassin's Creed came out when Ghost of Tsushima finally came to PC.
Yeah, isn't that kind of funny? It's like
Yeah, it's funny.
it's timed right when Ghost of Tsushima came to PC, which kind of that's an interesting thought. A little bit of conspiracy theory that they timed it with the release so that they could get as much attention as possible. Because the thing is, controversial buys are a thing where they're like, okay, controversy buys, because there are people in chat that want me to play Assassin's Creed Shadows just for the memes, and we might end up streaming it because of that. But when I see the $70 price tag, I'm like, God, I can't recoup my losses on that. Fuck, $70? That's a 70 in the red, off the bat. Oh, it's like me doing a backflip off my bed when I get out of my bed in the morning, snap my neck.
Mhm.
We played bad games on this channel just to look at them and to truly admire the train wreck and the travesty. We played The Last of Us, part 2. It was horrific. We played
I
Life is
I
Strange.
love.
Terrible.
Tell me
Goodbye,
why.
Volcano
We
High.
played Tell Me Why. Somebody tried to cancel me over that one. It was so bad.
Goodbye, Volcano High. That one was also special.
We never hate buy
Yeah.
here. We buy because we're here to analyze and learn. Because
You buy so you don't have to.
there is something that can be learned from playing a bad game, right? You guys, you sons of bitches have made me play Fire Warrior like 5 or 6 times. One of the worst shooters I've ever played in my life. It's so bad and budget box. Like, I've learned more about that game by playing it than I should really ever have learned. Honestly, period. I know that game too well. I know each scene, each level, each enemy type, and I know how poorly designed they are, and I know how badly the weapon composition is, and because of that information, I learned a little bit more. But I still hated every minute of it.
I remember seeing people online going like, "Oh, that
Ugh.
game was very good. I loved it
God.
when I was a kid."
Oh my
And
god,
every
yes,
time I
that's
think
because it
of
got
you.
re-released to GOG. And when it got
We need
re-released to GOG,
Halo.
people were getting super, like, nostalgia-baited, like, oh, Fire Warrior, that's so cool. And they played it and like, oh, it wasn't as good as I remember. Well, no, when I was a little kid, okay? When I was a little kid, I remember playing on my dad's Sega Saturn. And it was old by then. Like, it was getting old. It was at the end of its life cycle. I remember playing on the Sega Saturn, and I remember playing this game called Sonic Racing. And I thought that the music was cool. Like, something, something. I can't remember but I remember the melody because I played it. And, like, I remember, and I was like fucking 3 or 4. But I remember being like, God, this game is cool, but like, I must just be bad at it because I can't beat it. I can't get past first level. And I was like that with a lot of games. I played Command and Conquer on the Sega Saturn. I played Mech Warrior 2 on the Sega Saturn. And I was like, oh, like these games must be amazing, surely, because, I'm just not good at them. Not realizing that they were bad ports or just, not really meant for console until like I got older. Because it took like a point in my life to realize that, no, there are bad games. Bad games are actually real and they actually exist. And it was like, I forget at what point when I realized that was true. I was like, yeah, this sucks. I think it was like elementary school. Around elementary, but everything was always so gemmy then, because all the things it's hard to remember clearly. Like Battlefront 2, Pandemic, everyone wanted that game. Being the first kid to get it, I gloated and bragged like a motherfucker, and I still do to this day. God, it's so good to have it before everyone else.
and then kids, I also got beat up a lot, and I do not know why.
And then
Sven donates 20 Swedish krona and says Chatfish purrs. Stockholm.
they do because they're weird. Because they're weird. Playing RTS on console, I feel your pain. Yeah, I played Red Alert 1 on the PlayStation 1.
Ooh. I mean, at least that one had a nuke sheet, so you can get unlimited nukes, basically.
The PS, oh my god, it was so rough. There was like one map that I would play on because I would lose skirmishes all the time. And it would be this one map with the water divided the map because the AI didn't know how to cross over, so because it was broken. Man, I miss being kind of like ignorant of like games being good or bad, and just being like, yeah, no, it must be good, just not good at it. Just not good. I wish I could go back because then the world felt so more expansive. Because as that rose tinted veil slid off, and I looked at these games. And as I grew older, I'm like, God, a lot of these games kind of suck.
How often?
Sorry.
Most
No,
of
go ahead, Omar.
most of my games are good. I'll say that much. Just a lot of them suck, though. What is it, Beano? Venus.
No, with me the thing was I noticed like how many times like because I played a lot of games also because I saved all my money to buy part of the games, so I played a lot of them, right? And later in the later generations, people would tell me, "Oh my God, this Last of Us is amazing," and that was the first one, not even the second one. I bought it, I played it, so this is kind of bad, like it's not
Tastes
that
like
good.
shit.
Yeah, and then like I would buy another game that everyone like, this is amazing. Like, this is not as good as the first one. It's like Red Dead Redemption 2. Like a lot of people say that the second one is better, but I think the first one's better. Like the zombie DLC is also very good.
Are you
Yeah,
talking about
like
Last
I
of
don't
Us?
know.
Did you say
I
Last
didn't
of
like.
Us?
Yeah, I played it. I thought it was bad. The
Oh,
first
Last of
one.
Us was never good. I don't know what people
Yeah.
were smoking when they're like, "Hey, you should go a game." It's
Because
like
the writing was decent and people
No, like,
think.
It was
Here's
not
the issue, though.
decent.
It wasn't.
even
Like,
playing it.
when you
'cause-
actually analyze it, it's not.
so
I have no idea of this.
so
This is why
we
I'm
played
sort of
the
speaking
first
from a
Last of
position
Us,
ignorance.
and I played it anyways, and it's a quaint, very average game that isn't
It
that
looked nice enough, and it was basically looked like a film. So a lot of people were like, "Wow!" Like I remember a lot of normies talking about that game.
good. Yep. The problem with a lot of the PlayStation 3 exclusives during the PS3 era was a lot of them looked very nice, but had very little gameplay or substance. This is why I always think Microsoft kind of dominated in 6th gen. Even though there were good games on the PS3, some really good ones. But the big problem I think the PS3 suffered from was that it went for too much of a cinematic experience with their games. And so like a lot of the Jake and Drake or Drake games or whatever and all those other ones,
Nathan Drake.
like they're fun to play through once, but like they have no replay value. Unless you want to just watch the story again.
They have nothing.
Because I had both. I had every system and I had every game pretty much from all parties, and that's what Sony stuff always felt to me. It was very visually and artistically appealing, but beyond experiencing once, you didn't really have a reason to do it again because you kind of you saw it. Versus like Halo 3 or like Gears of War, like replaying those games over and over again was always fun because there was such an emphasis on gameplay.
Yeah. The
With the
gameplay is
Last
what
of
was
Us.
great, and the story was kind of secondary in some cases.
Mhm.
Sven Helgen donates 50 Swedish kroners. Can you feel the sunshine? Does it brighten up your day? Hashtag Sonic R, hashtag Sockphone.
That reminds. Can you feel the sunshine? Does it brighten up your day? I remember.
Eh,
That's like toddler Kib's fucking lore here. It's like
Got
That
it.
ingrained
sounds
into my
like
brain.
more peasantry for me. Not gonna
Can
lie.
you feel the
He then
sunshine?
donates
Does it
20
brighten-
more and says, I had Back to the Future on the Genesis. Not good.
My Sega Genesis has a lot of fun
Movie
games
tie-in
on it.
games are almost never good.
Hold on.
The
Let me
Lord of the
grab
Rings
you.
ones.
Let me destroy you immediately.
The Lord of the Rings movie.
Lord
I
of the
said
Rings-
almost never.
The Lord of the Rings
No,
movie
no,
games are really good. Any movie games
Yeah.
that worked with like the studio were interesting. Jurassic Park Trespasser, kind of a weird, quirky game, but paved the way for Half-Life. Never forget that Trespasser is the father of Half-Life.
How?
You didn't know that? One of their
Oh.
big inspirations when making Half-Life was Jurassic Park Trespasser.
I need to see receipts on that.
You didn't know that?
He's
Huh?
like, receipts,
I know something
receipts,
about
I need
Half-Life.
receipts.
I know something about
because
Half-Life you don't
Pixar
know.
didn't happen. Pixar
Kids,
didn't
I
happen.
am. Wait, kids, I am not a Half-Life.
So the big thing is
but I
Jurassic
like
Park
Half-Life,
Trespasser. If you play it, and I have played it, it's super cool. And the reason why I played it was because I liked Half-Life 1 so much as a little kid. I wanted to learn more about Half-Life, and I learned that Jurassic Park Trespasser directly inspired Half-Life 1's creation. And so I was like, huh, okay. Well, I'm going to check out this Trespasser game. And it's really cool. You're like a woman stranded on this island, that, you know, the dinosaur island or whatever. Isla Nublar. I don't remember if it's Isla Nublar, Site B or whatever. I can't remember. It made Jurassic Park lore. But either way, you gotta like get off the planet. You gotta work with like puzzles, and there's like early physics puzzles, like very early physics puzzles. And Half-Life was very much inspired by this overall idea. It's sort of what moved them to the Source engine, if I remember right. Problem with Trespasser is it wasn't fully realized, and it had a lot of problems. You have to download like fan patches to get it to work. Oh, the one with the boobs, right? Yes, you look down, you got massive bahungalungas. Just like, titties.
Have you ever played Dino Crisis?
Jubilees!
Never played Dino
Dino
Crisis.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
I am aware
was-
of Dino Crisis. I think I rented a game, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
It's one of those franchises that people have a lot of nostalgia for, but then they fucked up on the third one, I think, because they made like space dinos or something.
I think that's the one I rented because I remember I thought it was like, this is basically Dead Space but dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's the bad one then.
Yeah, I didn't get very far in it.
Yeah.
To be fair, from the little bit I remember, I heard that was like the like hard/bad one. So
You consider you didn't get further because you suck.
no, the camera was bad.
Mhm.
So there'd be enemies that would jump at you from behind the camera and then hit you, and then it's like, ah, fuck me.
I can't get over Plague. Ah, the one with the boobs, right? That's awful.
Yeah, that was the one that had.
I just
the
remember
females in
the
it, right?
weird dinosaurs when they'd bob up and down like all over like whoop 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 whoop. Like it looked funny. It looked oh man. But yeah. Yeah, right. Well, I think that kind of ramps up today's little bunch cast. It wasn't a long one. Well, we segued a bit. But I think we got through all our main subjects. Now, chatfishies, if anyone would like to comment or have anything to say, you can now move into the kip size bucket and we'll talk to you on stream. And you can say your thoughts
Also,
on the...
I will remind people that their profile picture and username has to be TOS compliant.
You also have to have been in the community for a while.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that just so people like don't have like silly names or profile pictures.
Ooh.
You have people that have to be in the community for why? Then why is fucking Rapier allowed to be here?
Because
I've been here
Damn.
a good bit.
No, you're not.
Stupid.
So, Fairman, the answer is very, very easy. It's called bribes.
But yeah. So again, to to more or less conclude my thesis, it's not really a thesis, but basically, Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is a very good game. You should definitely check it out. Homeworld 3, disappointing. Honestly, wait till it's a budget bin game, and maybe if the mods are there. If the mods are there, then maybe. But
There may be a saving grace.
because the rogue mode is interesting, and with mods, I think that could salvage the game. I think.
Nah.
But as far as the Assassin's Creed thing goes, honestly, to me, it looks like, your stereotypical rage bait. And when it comes to Ghost of Tsushima is more of a fun game. And so one of the issues with Assassin's Creed is they've often been... Oh, God, I completely forgot about this subject. Got segued. So the big thing about greed versus fun is that Assassin's Creed has been using microtransaction policies and the core basis of their games since Origins and, Odyssey. And while I kind of like some aspects of Odyssey has so many problems. God. No, let's not get in that. But the DLC and, grind things were you can buy these to get some points to get unlocks faster. That was just cringe. And this is where greed erodes away at fun. Ghost of Tsushima is grindy, too, mind you. However, everything can be earned in-game, and there's no microtransaction store to just buy level ups. You have to go and look for the bamboo things in order to get the bamboo upgrades for your focus, I think it's called. I think it's focus or will of the
Something
warrior.
weeby.
Something like that, yeah. And that was the nice thing about Ghosts, because Ghosts is okay. Yes, it's grindy, a little bit RPG-ish, and a little too grindy for my tastes is one of the downsides. But at least it's all designed to be in game, and it's not greedy and microtransaction-y. Adverse to, Assassin's Creed, where it's literally greedy and grindy over fun to milk you of your money after you buy the game. Any love for Planetary Annihilation? Asked Radically Milk Toast. No, I'm not much of an RTS fan, but I like the concept and gameplay. I, as a backer of Planetary Annihilation, am very angry with a lot of things Planetary Annihilation did. Mostly because Planetary Annihilation under-delivered and promised things that it never delivered. Now, what I like about Planetary Annihilation is the celestial scale. I think that's cool, but I think it desperately needed to be reworked multiple times. Space combat, naval combat. Naval combat just feels obsolete and irrelevant half the time. There's no point for it. And that's honestly one of the annoyances I have with Planetary Annihilation. Now, we might stream that someday, because I thought it would be neat for a streaming game. But it's supposedly built on top of the legacy of Supreme Commander, right? And Supreme Commander, sorta. I think it's more so leaning on Total Annihilation inspirations. Because Total Annihilation is the grandfather of the Subcom, sort of macro scale RTSs. But Planetary Annihilation was disappointing. The explosions, the visual effects, it just wasn't very satisfying. And the explosions are actually the worst because they're like these little ball circles, and I hate it. It's a little detail that just really, really annoys me. The actual effects of battle itself are not satisfying to look at, adverse to Supreme Commander or, old school Total Annihilation. Now, for me, a different company sort of replaced Total Annihilation, or not Total Annihilation, sorry, Planetary Annihilation. It was Beyond All Reason, BAR. It's free. You can go and download it. I have it on my
Has
computer.
a co-op mode.
They keep adding stuff. It's gotten a lot more stuff since we last played it, and it's fucking awesome. Beyond All
Isn't
Reason.
it also free?
Yeah, it's free for now. I don't know if they're going to sell it on Steam. They should.
I remember us playing co-op and we broke the boss 2 times. Once because he brought stuck under the map because I nuked him so much, and the other time he floated off in space because I nuked the platform that it got destroyed.
Yeah, so one thing that's interesting is the developers stop by whenever we play that game. They've been pretty active. I hope they haven't changed. But last time we played their game, Bear and I were playing on this lava planet they recommended because they're like, oh, it's going to be really cool when you blow up the ground. You'll get to see the lava and stuff. And we did. It's basically the water, but we blew a huge hole in the map. And this boss creature, we bombed it with so many nukes and bombs, it deforms the terrain in the game, which is really cool. But we deformed the terrain so much that the hole went so deep that we couldn't see the boss and our bombs couldn't hit him. Because the hole was so deep and the boss couldn't get out of the hole. We blew a hole
I
through the
opted to
world.
build nothing but nukes and let Kips use with the unit.
We broke the game. It was funny.
Yeah.
Rifford has been a member for 16 months. Are you going to review Homeworld 3 in the future as a bubble cultist?
We kind of do reviews technically by playing the game. Like, here's your end-game synopsis usually. Unless there's nothing really of interest to talk about or it's a fairly average game, then we kind of just like, meh, whatever. It's nothing to write home about. But if you ever watch our playthroughs are more or less reviews of the game as well. Or talking about a game, or reviewing, or revisiting, or rediscovering a game. Or reappreciating a game. Hell, we're going to be revisiting Black and White, and I'll be talking about city builders and God Sims again. Because it's honestly something that goes hand in hand, but nobody has done anything with. And probably never will at this rate. God. How good is the single player? I don't like multi. In Beyond All Reason, pretty good. There's, well, okay, so hear me out. Hear me out a little bit. You may not like multiplayer, but this game is not a PvP RTS. It has PvP capabilities. More than adequate, by the way, for Beyond All Reason. But you can do a lot of PvE stuff with friends, and it's fun as hell. Like, there's the scavenger horde mode, where scavengers appear, and they, like, build stuff, and you gotta beat them back, and they have bosses. There's then the space chicken mode, where these space chickens attack, and they're, like, these Xenos. And they're super
I hate
cool.
those fuckers.
I love them. They're cool. And, like, there's also, like, single-player missions that you can kind of do, and also just comp stomp against, like, skirmish. And there's a lot of custom maps to download and whatnot. It's got a lot of replayability. If you're talking, and I don't know which RTS you're asking about, but that's for that one, for Beyond All Reason. The other RTS, Sins of Solar Empire, lots of replay value there, too. And it's honestly a game I've never played PvP in. Ever. I've only played PvE in Sins of Solar Empire. I don't think I've ever played PvE. It's always been PvP, or PvE, sorry. Because the games last like 4 to 5 hours, and they're long, grueling campaigns. And they're really fun. Sins of Solar Empire is a good RTS, too.
Have you ever tried Sif PvE? Oh,
Genghis, Keck, and Spider Pig are up top if they wanted to come in to give their opinions.
All right, let's grab the first one that you think has been waiting the longest.
Spider Pig.
All right, grab him. Grab.
Alright, I will just grab him then.
Welcome, Spider Pig. He's dead. Shake him a little.
Rip.
yeah.
Good start.
Yeah.
You're muted, Spider Pig.
Kuma.
Or he's actually away from his computer.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, look at him.
There he
Sorry, I
is.
was eating lunch.
Boomer, boomer, boomer.
So what's your take on it? Let's hear Spider Pig.
Well, I think the Assassin's Creed thing is extremely stupid, and I don't think it'll sell well. But Assassin's Creed, I don't think has been selling well for the last 3 or 4 games. So it's just going to continue a downward trend.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of agree with that. I mean, that's kind of what I think we're all on the same page. They're just trying anything to get attention again.
It's gonna be that game series that like people hear about, but it's like there's not gonna be one that really blows up again, I don't think.
Well, and
Like
here's
Final
the thing.
Fantasy.
Here's the thing. I mean, one, the guy was never a samurai.
Yep.
You know, that they're basing him off of Yusuke. Never a samurai. But also, he worked directly for the shogun of the time. If the shogun wanted somebody dead, all he would have had to do is say, go kill him. You know, there's no stealth portion to that.
So here's the other thing, though. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, he was a samurai.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything of note.
No.
Because otherwise they would have written it down if he did anything of note, but he
Yeah,
didn't.
Well, the thing was...
So it's like steel manning the argument. Okay, let's just say, for sake of argument, he was a samurai. He was a samurai who didn't do anything noteworthy other than the one thing he's known for.
being very tall
Well,
and
okay,
being black.
There's that, but then also failing to protect his lord during an assassination attempt.
That too.
He wasn't supposed to protect him. Like, the thing is,
No, Albine. I'm saying steel
They're
manning.
still manning a
He-
position.
he-
Okay. Okay.
Yes. You're
God,
forgetting.
Tibbs, what happened to your avatar?
What's wrong?
He's wearing his true
Oh,
self.
the Discord avatar. Don't worry about that. That's because people paid.
Okay,
It's just a
Give
month.
us a
It'll
clue.
go away.
it's fucking cursed.
It is cursed, yes.
Yeah, that's all Alpine art is.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, so
Why
let's
do you
just say
want that?
Steel Manning. Okay, for sake of argument, he was a samurai. Didn't do anything important other than his skin color and being a head taller than everyone around him because of that.
Also,
Yeah.
He was like,
to interject here, Rafe, you say you don't have friends. That is unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world for you, Rafe. Listen, join our Discord server. Link is in the description. After stream, which we do have to do another stream today, we will be hopping into the Discord so you can come hang out. You can get
Yes,
a
and
chance
in
to
5 years you can have friends.
listen. Seriously, you can get a chance to mingle, and you'll get to meet people in our community. You'll find friends amongst our community. I promise you. You just have to mingle a little bit. I would recommend joining the Terrestrial War tabletop team. They work on a tabletop game. They do tabletop tests, playing time, lots of stuff there. You can game with other people, play with people, interact with people.
Just know you have to bully Draconis.
remember,
No.
if you want friends quicker,
So
dare the mark of the fish.
hold on, Alban. Genghis gives $2. You missed me. Grab me, please. Sock Bazinga hands. So we're only having one person in at a time. It's not like everyone who could potentially talk.
Yep.
Is brought in at the same
Everyone will
time.
get
It's
like
one
a
person at a time.
moment on, or a couple moments on stream.
Yeah, it's one person at a time, so it doesn't get too cluttered.
Yep. Otherwise, it
I
turns
see you
into a
guys
loud
can
room.
swap me out because I got on last week. Genghis hasn't been on. If you want to.
Well, there's no time sensitivity here. Like,
Okay.
these podcasts are meant to be as long as they feel naturally. Now, if that's everything on your piece, and you don't have anything else to add, then yeah, sure. But it's not urgent if that's what your worry is.
I will just add one very quick thing.
No.
It's funny that like Yazuki is in this game because of technically the AI, and it's funny that he was technically a retainer because of the AI also, because Nobunaga wanted him nearby because he was exotic, but he as he was a lord, he couldn't have a commoner near him because it was dishonorable. So that's why, like, okay, but if I make him a retainer, it's not that bad, right? And that's the whole reason he became a retainer. So he was one
Well,
of the old.
Nobunaga was known for keeping commoners around.
Oh, I heard that,
Didn't
but
he
I heard
come
that.
from a peasant revolt or something like this?
I don't
I
remember.
I was a
think
peasant,
something.
yes.
Yeah.
But
I think he was
I
like
heard this at least.
one of the poor landholding, just above peasantry.
He
His
basically, yeah.
Held
Rose up.
land, but they weren't the samurai class.
According to my absolute source of knowledge, which is Shogun.
I made it
2,
the fuck up.
his specialty is he has Ashigara units that have longer spears. So that is the extent of my knowledge of him.
Shogun 2. Fair enough.
He has the Oda Ashigaru, who have slightly longer spears. That is the
And-
extent of
Well,
my
that
knowledge.
was a thing he
And
did
you're a fucking
historically.
weep, you know that?
He don't forget he also looked exactly the same as every other lord.
Well, according to
And
No,
you
the-
say
the-
also, you say, didn't he also was someone that absolutely just loved guns, was coming
Oh,
over
he
them?
loved his firearms.
But okay, that's another just general myth. A lot of the samurai class really liked firearms. The things they didn't like were peasants having firearms.
Yes.
well,
Well,
Yeah.
and Nobunaga was the one giving the peasants the firearms.
Yep, to upset the balance.
But that's
I know
that's kind of a massive side tangent for that.
if you Chef, if you want to know about
Well, and he
Oda
also
Nobunaga,
was very obsessive about making fire. He was actually one of the things you could probably classify him as. He was a gunsmith.
I remember there's an anime where Oda Nobunaga is a blonde girl, and that's all where I learned about him.
Fine.
Of course.
It's a very educational anime, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Shit, I'm being
Also,
called on the phone. I'll be a minute.
I'm gonna obligatory do something to you.
All right. So, thank you for your time, Spitters Big. Now it's time for the next guest.
All right, I will dunk him.
Dunk.
Unless last words, Spider Pig.
Nope.
Evidently no. I'll grab Genghis now.
It just died.
Hello, Genghis.
Hey, Gigas. What?
Okay.
What?
Escape.
Did he move?
He, I'll.
Genghis.
I was gonna go down.
Genghis, you can't escape. my
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Don't move.
dude.
Boomer moment.
Like, I'm kind of new with Discord, so don't, get off my ass.
So what do you have to say? What do you want to say, Genghis?
I just wanted to say, as far as the Assassin's Creed black Japanese guy, as weird, this is, at the risk of quoting "He Who Shall Not Be Named," this is malice, and they want to destroy a setting just like they always do. And you know who they are, the DEI people. I don't know. I don't know. It makes me angry the more I think about it.
I wouldn't get too fussed over it. The thing is, this game's probably not going to do very well. Now, it's probably going
It
to do a little
won't,
better
but
than
that's
what
the
it
point.
was, right? But the reality is this is how hurt they are. It's literally to get as much attention, because quality ain't going to work for them, right? But rage baiting will. It already has. They've succeeded their main mission objective.
I don't necessarily agree. I think if they built a game that was actually good,
Well,
people would play it. They're a big company. They have the marketing
That's not
ability.
really what I'm saying, like about like them making a good game or not. It's that they don't want to. That's more expensive to do it that way.
I think that even if they made a bad game, and
Well, they can
that's
make-
where I disagree with Keeps, the outrage marketing doesn't work that well anymore.
No.
It depends on what kind of outrage. For example, like Helldivers being not having politics in it was kind of a little bit of outrage that worked very well, because that's
Yeah,
the
but
kind
it
of...
wasn't really outrage marketing.
Yeah,
because
no,
that was
no,
just
that well,
natural
but
thing.
the thing is, that's outrageous to the people that normally do the whole complaining online and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
you know?
those people are not
And that's
customers
how-
in the first place.
Herman, why are you interrupting me for agreeing with me, but thinking about different things? And the
Because
thing
he's
is,
Fairman.
this Assassin's Creed is going to do worse than it would have done, even if it was the same game but had a Japanese guy in it. A lot of people that would buy the game because they're weebs are not going to buy the game now because of the whole thing, you know.
They could have just used a fictional character, and it wouldn't have been as much of an issue.
It could have been even worse than it's going to be now. It would still sell just because it's like a setting that people were clamoring for a long time.
I mean, the thing is, they're not gonna make anything of quality because they can milk. They have been able to milk people, right? Like, people played Vikings and Ragnarok, and you guys saw all the grindy little DLC in it when we streamed it. It was bad, right? And people buy that stuff. That's the issue. Like, the only one person purchasing this game, one dedicated person that purchased this game will, over time, put a lot of money that'll be worth like 4 or 5 people. That's the way it's marketed, and the way it's sort of set up, so that one sale is 5 sales, one sale is 6 sales, so that for all 4 or 5 of us that don't buy it, one person buys it, they recoup a lot of their losses.
Whale-based economics.
Yeah, it's disgusting in my opinion. But that's part of their strategy. That's why they've added all those microtransactions in there, and why there's so many.
It's 2024 and we brought whaling back, literally.
Yeah, pretty much. The other thing is that they use that $17 or $18 Game Pass, right? And if they have enough subscriptions on the Game Pass thing for the Ubisoft games, then, well, if the game doesn't sell well, the pass did well enough, so therefore they can more or less walk away with a profit, which is probably going to do it. Also, the casual players. The casual players will usually eat things up, more or less, but I'm hoping that the $70 price is just an extra $10 of the being just that extra straw that broke the camel's back. We'll see. Often the casual is the reason why it's gotten to this point already, because they'll just buy it up anyways. Nothing really is gonna particularly change, I think, because of the outrage. If that makes sense. If anything, they're probably going to gain more sales from it. Mostly because I just forgot about Mirage existing altogether. Like, this whole issue made me look at Assassin's Creed again. And because last
Yes,
one I was thinking was
you
Ragnarok.
exist.
Well, it's not just that. It's like the last one I saw of note that got attention was Ragnarok. Mirage just kind of like was a Mirage, unironically.
Yeah,
the name.
it just did not have any splash at all.
I just didn't see it. I didn't see anybody play it. Nobody in my sphere of friends played it. Everyone had tried Ragnarok, but like, I don't know.
It's like the Far
played Mirage.
Cry series where it doesn't really make big of a splash.
Is it
anymore.
even on Steam? It probably is,
Uh,
right?
Don't know.
No, that looks
Our
like a porn
kids
game.
asking the hard
That
questions.
looks like a porn game. Not gonna click on that.
Probably is.
At least it didn't fucking pop up.
It didn't pop up.
Pondazan says, not gonna buy us any $70 games ever. Not worth the price. It's a hard asking price. Even as a content creator, right? We gotta stream new shit because new shit brings in new people, right? I look at that and I'm like, God damn. Like the only, as a streamer, the only reason why I would stream it is to get new people into the audience. People that are also displeased and that are looking at it and want to be mad at it. Which often is how we get new people, right? But it's like $70, the fuck. It's just, it's horrific. Just the asking price.
$70 it is.
And then it's like, okay, streamer, the obvious streamer bait thing is the early access. So you can stream it first so you can get the most viewership potential, right? $109? Jesus Christ.
Actually, didn't the monthly thing also, if you did the monthly, didn't that also have the early access?
But is it like Adobe when it comes to the subscriptions where it's like, you can cancel it next year? Next year.
Who
Like
knows?
a phone subscription. where you have
Adobe does
minimum-
that shit too.
And if you're going to
Fuck.
cancel, it costs extra money, doesn't it?
I don't remember how Adobe works. Adobe tried to charge me one, so I just fucking told my bank to just like not give them anything. That was like that when that happened. Fuck, I hate Adobe. Adobe's another one of those companies where the subscription model's horrific. That's like $70 for access to the suite of basic creative tools.
Never
If you
forgive them
think
for killing
Adobe is
Flash.
bad, check out Autodesk, and that's a product that the
I've
people who
heard
buy it
about
have
that
to
shit.
actually have to have it. It is horrifying.
Yeah.
I pay and for their bottom end, I pay $500 a year, and
What's
if I
Autodesk
don't
for?
have it, I don't have a job.
What's Autodesk for?
CAD software, mechanical
Oh,
engineering. type
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Yeah.
CAD, yeah.
You have
It's
to have it.
horrible.
The thing is, a lot of that specialized software is like hyper niche, so the license fees for it are stupid expensive.
It's funny
yeah,
because back in college days, Genghis, when we learned Autodesk, the teacher literally had a disc where he was like, technically, this is illegal. You know, you get to tell me, right? Like we had a issue in the college that like the higher ups were complaining about the amount of piracy institutionalized because like I think like there, if you get like for example Autodesk and Adobe and other stuff, it could run like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for PC or something like that.
Oh god, it's awful. It's awful. Any
Yeah,
subscription
I
models
mean,
are just terrible.
Autodesk stuff is expensive enough where some people. I had a classmate, quote unquote, that was just in the class so that he got access to the education version of the software because it was cheaper to attend college than it was to buy their product for a year.
Because the student version would be good for like 4 years or whatever, something like that.
Basically, yeah.
There were some Japanese exchanging students, Genghis, that they got very shocked when they were asked, how are you going to work on this? Pirate it. They were very shocked.
Oh my god, that's funny. The
But
enigmatic,
Japanese are
Son of a-
special.
hold on. The enigmatic dude says, sadly, I have a normie friend that's already pre-ordered the big physical collector's edition of AC Shadow. The most important thing to remember when it comes to, because I know like I have friends who are kind of casuals too, and they'll just buy everything. Hell, my little bros, they play Fortnite. I can't save them. I'm gonna have to put them down. But
Well,
the thing is don't. The most important thing is don't ever ruin a friendship over it, right? But when having a conversation about it, just be honest about your reasoning, right? Because the big thing I think it's important to convey is that you don't let games and greedy business practices do more damage than they're already doing by destroying friendships. Because
Mhm.
friendships
also,
are
if-
important. Don't ever
also,
burn
if-
bridges over
yeah.
that stuff.
yeah, if you are destroying your friendship because someone bought a game you do not support, you are the problem, not them.
Well, yeah, just don't do that because
I'll-
that's like wokeism behavior. That's like literally that's like what SJWs do when they eat their own. Don't eat your friend. Don't eat your-
Unless I
Uh,
like it.
Like,
Also,
first and
there's-
foremost,
No.
your friend probably doesn't taste good. Don't do it.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
The thing
I
is,
said probably.
the
don't even
best
buy
way
it,
to
don't
sort of
think,
get
yeah.
people to like good games is to actually just show them. Like when I met my friend Tyler in elementary, he was like playing like I don't remember some weeb game like Mega Man or something, whatever.
Mega
Right?
Man's good.
I introduced
very
him.
good.
I introduced him to Star Wars. I introduced him to Lord of the Rings and to Matrix and like a bunch of other things that were popular at the time because we're little kids, right? I introduced him to like Star Wars Battlefront. I introduced him to Supreme Commander. I introduced him to Command and Conquer. I basically was like, instead of just being like, don't like destroy that fucking game, I was like, I showed him other things. Sometimes the best way to help somebody find new things and to realize something that's bad is to show them good things. Or
It's not the console mindset, though.
it's not. I didn't say anything. I just let him be happy about it. I mean, that's a good
Yeah.
thing. Just let him be happy. I mean, he bought the fucking collector's edition. Don't break his heart, okay? Because, like, that's just mean. He's already spent that much money. It's too late. There's no saving him. There's no...
Yeah.
Just,
Also,
just make sure if he hasn't played it that he plays Tsushima before, just to see the reaction. Just
Also,
genuine reaction.
we've got another
Mhm.
person waiting. Genghis, do you have any other subjects you'd like to bring up?
I guess not. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I was playing Majesty today
Which
for the
Majesty?
first time in 20 years.
Your
It's an
Majesty.
RTS
Oh, yeah,
RPG
the
hybrid
sim-
game from
the
20
builder
plus years
one.
ago.
That's a good one.
Majesty's
It is
a
so
great
good.
game.
You get it for like $3. Why buy modern games? That's my point. It's horrible.
Mhm. There's a lot of good games on the market already. Like, if you want to be realistic, right? There's actually hundreds. Actually, no, there are definitely thousands of good games already on the market. And yes, occasionally a new indie one will come in. Occasionally a AA studio will make something like Citizen Empire 2. And occasionally a AAA, very rarely, will make something kind of good like Dead Space Remake. Or like the Resident Evil 4 Remake. And when these occasional good gems come in, all it is just another gem on top of an already massive mountain of good games. Not everything has to be the big budget new release. That's a good point, Gankers.
Mm-hmm.
And Majesty is a great game. He does bring that up. I remember that. Yes, Your Majesty. Tax collector.
Oh, it has so much charm. Majesty's fantastic.
It's basically like a city builder, but you're like a DM because you're like the king and you give out quests, and then heroes go and complete the quests. It's
a
kind of
shame it only ever had the one game and expansion.
Yep. There was no other game, that's for sure.
Yep.
Wait, there was a sequel? Tell me
Okay.
about it.
Nope.
Was it any good?
Nope, there wasn't a sequel.
If you
game
can
was only
buy it
one.
when it's on sale, super cheap. It's Majesty 2. It's just kind of disappointing.
It's basically, in my opinion, it's pretty much just worse in every way. It's actually just bad.
It's just not as good as the first one. It's like a cheaper version of a better game, if that makes sense.
And they
No, it
went for
sounds
a
like
lot
a
more of a
cash grab.
cartoony. They went for a more cartoony art style, if I remember right as well.
It was in that early 2000s RTS where everything's got a lot of bloom. That's what phase was kind of ongoing at that point.
Bloom in and of itself isn't necessarily
A
bad.
little bit of bloom's fun, but
Do you like some Steve Blum?
2006 and 7 was a special year for RTS games or games in general. Where it's like, you turn the bloom dial and just all the way.
It's the J.J. Abrams era.
It was certainly a special time. Well, Genghis, we'll catch you next time. I think it's Korsavo's turn. Thanks for popping on,
Okay.
Genghis.
Catch you later.
Bye.
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 Yep.
Korsavo's turn. Your turn, little Korsavo.
Monkey.
That's mic test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Hello.
can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So like yeah, my personal take about the Assassin's Creed Shadow, and I think it's just like most Ubisoft games nowadays. You notice they add DEI characters alongside like the price increase. It's almost, and as a result, most people are talking about the DEI stuff more than they're talking about the price stuff, and as a result, like it's kind of like being normalized because people are distracted from it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's actually one of the reasons, because it was actually Chumba who brought this up to me yesterday about the price thing, because I originally wasn't going to talk about the Assassin's Creed Shadow thing because I kind of don't really care that much, but it was when Chumba brought it up and it was like saying that it was to ignore the price thing, was when I actually went and looked, and it was like, oh my god, they actually are. They're using the drama to masquerade the price hike. And it's insidious because it's actually working. Not very many people are talking about the price. I think some people are. I'm not
The
Few other streamers.
yeah, the few things
Good.
I've seen people talking about price, they're immediately dogpiled as being racist because they just don't want to. They just don't want to see a black character. They immediately deflect off the price.
Yep. That's why the only way to react to the people that do the race thing is like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'm racist. Because the best way to shut them down is to just simply
Is to basically dismiss their point and move past it.
Yep. He's like, yeah, sure. Yeah. It's like, yeah, of course. That's definitely the
Yes,
crux
I'm
of it.
racist. The biggest
it is-
racist.
It has been a tactic for a while.
I don't know
for-
why I hang out with Strato, honestly. It's kind of weird. It's contradictory.
You don't hang out with.
It's
Strato.
been a tactic for a long time to just accuse you of this, that, and the other thing. So the best thing to do is just say, "Okay, yeah, shut the fuck up. Like this is what I'm talking about."
Yep.
Like I don't care what you have to say. This is what I'm trying to say.
Well, the thing
And
is, they're trying
logical
to
arguments
derail
don't
you.
work with these people.
There's a couple ways to do it. On Twitter, I usually milk them like cows, because the way you use them is you just quote tweet them and then you just like slap them, and you use that to basically pull in more viewers. But if you're actually looking at an actual conversation and you're not trying to milk or bait people like I do, because I do bait people quite a bit, but you just ignore them. If you ignore them, they just, you don't bring any credence to them.
Just imagining Kip's beating a
You
pink-haired
need-
cow.
Well, the thing is,
Bad.
you need to decide how you're going to use it, right? So, like, if somebody's going to do that, you know what their aim is, and it's like, okay, you're going to try to use this to try to pull away from the conversation. So, how can I profit from you and your existence? And so you profit from them by using them. Now, if you don't need to do that or you don't want to do that, just ignore them. There's no point in actually talking to them. In fact, when I do that, I have no interest in talking to them. Often I've already just moved on with my life after that. It's like I just do it because I get like 6 or 5 new followers each time, which makes me louder and makes them quieter because all of a sudden they just disappear.
Yeah. Also, I want to add, like, even if there's like a cultural shift more to the right in the future, the pricing will still be a problem, like regardless of
Mhm.
culture, and because of that, they can get away with it even more. Like they're future-proof with this kind of strategy.
Yes, that's the issue. The issue, and that's a great point, by the way. Actually, very good point. Because that's going to be something they're going to do forever now. Once it's established, once it's embedded, it's in. And there's no way to deal with it afterwards. It's just, you got to live with it now. And that's a problem. Because and that's why I think that's honestly, the price is the main issue. That's why I keep going on that. And the race thing is honestly not that important. It really
It's
isn't.
secondary.
It's like Yasuke's being the character is also not that important either. That's a trap. The whole thing, and like I said on my post on X, is like they're using the black guy as a shield, and a very effective shield, because yes, he's not very important. No, he wasn't a samurai, but that's what the whole conversation's about. Because it's not about they're charging $70 for an incomplete game with cut content on day one. And in order to get the rest of the content, you need to buy the next level edition, which is $109. I think it was $109. Let me just double check. I mean, it's already ridiculous. God forbid I'm
Wasn't
off by
it
$10 more.
130?
No, that's for like
Wasn't
the
100?
no, that's like the ultimate. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. If I
It's
want,
$100 plus, yeah.
Let's see. The editions. Here we go. You know, $109 to get the pre-order. No, the pre-order bonus is there, but to get the season pass. So if you want the complete version of the game, it's $109. $130 is for some other cut content, presumably skins.
I was right. You can just pay the 1 monthly thing and get the 3-day access early as well.
And you get everything, but that's what they're gonna try to trick people into
Yeah.
doing.
They want to push their
Because
Game Pass.
the thing is, like, okay, well, if I only pay $18 a month, I get everything for the $130 version, and I get access to all their games. Unless it's only $18 a month, you know. If you're a casual gamer, you know, you're not gonna play that much. The monthly thing is a good trap because it tricks you into thinking like, oh, okay, I'll subscribe for a month, and then I'll play this like on the month, and I'll like, oh, I'll switch to the other Assassin's Creed because now I own them all, so I'll play through them all, and then months go by, and you just become more ingrained in what we call the ecosystem of Ubisoft games, and so now you're just in the ecosystem of only playing Ubisoft games, unlike the rest of us who. We pick and choose games. We're kind of outside the ecosystem. Even Steam's ecosystem, it affects us to a degree, but we have like GOG and other alternatives, right? And these ecosystems are here to entrap you. The idea is to trick you into being like, look at all these games in this ecosystem. If you pay a certain amount of money per month, you have access to all these games. Now participate only in this ecosystem. They try to push you out of Steam. They push you out of EA's Play stuff. They push you out of GOG stuff. Now, these other things have their own problems. Steam has their problems. GOG have their problems. EA Play has their shit too, you know. But the reality is that's what the Xbox Game Pass, that's what all these things are attempting to do. They're trying to suck you into these ecosystems. Because there is a lot of games and content in there. And that only works on casuals. Because if you're an avid gamer, you're like, well, I want to play Cities of Empire. Well, you know, you can't play it in Ubisoft's ecosystem, can you? It's not in there.
Exactly.
There is a whole issue where I want to play this one game that's kind of 2 years old, and they remove it from the Game Pass thingy. Then not only you're paying for the Game Pass, you don't own the game, so you need to go and pay extra for the game later.
Yeah, that's another thing, Albine. Ubisoft is trying to push the idea of you don't own your games when you buy them.
Yep.
Which is weird. Then wouldn't it mean that like pirating a game is not stealing then? Because
logically, yeah. If you
so
buy it, you don't own it.
The argument they would still try to go along with, it's still a sale they could have. It's still a sale they could have gotten, but it's not a physical sale in that sense. It's a sale of the license.
The way piracy is generally viewed in the industry, and I kind of know this, is that it's viewed as a potential lost sale. Because that person could have bought the game, right? Every time it's pirated. Like, I know this even more intrinsically because of the fucking Unity debacle. When Unity's like, well, you're going to owe us money for every game that's pirated because that's a potential lost sale. It's like, but that's the game we made. Yeah, well, we could have potentially also made profit from it too. So therefore, you owe us our cut that you lost because your game got pirated. That's what they were basically telling us. And it's like, what?
There's just one of those things I just go, wait a minute.
There's no way we can physically afford to pay for potential lost sales that pirates took of our game that we made. Or that we're making, not made.
Hey, you know what, kids? By that logic, you are totally eligible for what's the word? For disability check because you could be potentially disabled.
You know what's weird though, because if you follow that logic a few years from now, they could like be suing reviewers because like your bad review made us sell less games, therefore you always like, if you get me. So it's a very flawed logic.
Oh, we're already at the point where they would if they could.
The thing is though, a lot of companies like want it to be a service thing, not a product thing, because of the continued revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there a company recently that said what's it called, a borderline mafia Pinkertons to someone? Magic or something?
Pinkertons?
It's Magic hired
still
Pinkertons.
exist.
Yeah.
But either way, like, the big thing here is that this whole ecosystem nonsense and the whole Xbox Game Pass thing succeeding was in long term a bad thing for all of us. Because the problem with the Xbox Game Pass is it sort of encourages that mentality, and now PlayStation Plus, well, I think they had that before,
That's
but everyone has these ideas of these plus or bonus things like, well, for a small nominal fee, you get access to the entire content library. And it's like, and they're also, this is a little bit deeper of an issue because there are indies that are basically being pressured by Microsoft or by Sony to put their games on these plus things or on these Game Pass things. And then these fans of Microsoft and PlayStation or Sony will go out and attack these indie developers. This has actually happened and happening. Because, well, I wasn't going to buy your game anyway. You should have took the Microsoft money, you piece of shit. You know, it's like...
So here's actually another...
It's like, what the fuck?
unintentionally, maybe intentionally, insidious thing as well. Okay, so if they have it so you just buy the pass and you don't buy the game, okay, the game just ends up getting removed from the service because of like whatever, and that game is just lost.
That happens. Yeah.
As in it's like you could, there's nowhere you can go at that point to like archive the game or whatever, and so that game is just poof, lost to time.
And then you'll have to pay them if they plan to bring it back or whatever. Like that.
Oh yeah, no, because they'll still sit on the rights for it.
Extra money.
Yep. I mean, there's that.
yeah.
There is an issue with live service games as well, where they'll pull the game down and be like, well, you know, that thing you bought, we're taking it offline. We're taking it
Games
from
as a
you.
service is a scam.
That's the issue
It's even
with
worse. It's not even just a scam. It's worse than that, Fairman. That's what I was getting at. It's like
all that investment.
you don't own it anymore.
Yep. Because, well, I love Helldivers 2, and it's one of my favorite modern games, and I love it to death, honestly. But there's a problem with the game I love, and it's the fact that it's a live service game. And yes, Helldivers 1 has its servers still intact, and it's been up for years and years and years and years. But
That doesn't mean
someday,
it always will.
someday those servers will go down. You guys remember what happened with GameSpy? I remember that day. That
I
dark
do,
day in
but
gaming.
I do, but it's one of those things like, fuck, GameSpy was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but GameSpy got shut down. And then when GameSpy got shut down, so many games disappeared for a while. Now, there were outlets like Game Ranger. There were things like Logme and Hamachi. Hamachi. And then
Radman.
there was Radman VPN as well. And there are ways to do network tunneling. And or Game Ranger, which is a janky software. But I use it because, you know, it's the only thing that works for some of these old things. You know, they're disappearing. And it's like, well, how do we preserve these? And game preservation is an issue, right? But the issue is government involvement. Ugh, it's another nightmare topic to talk about. Appealing to the government for aid and the industry is not a good idea. Because when the government says, I'm here to help, they're never actually there to help.
Yeah, we're here to help us to your money.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
This is something
Because the
that
other thing is,
industry,
when the government gets
yes.
involved, it will never, ever leave.
This is something that the industry needs to deal with itself. There needs to be a company that, or Steam, or some sort of like thing. Because the great thing about Steam, right, is that if anything's integrated with the Steam network, because Steam is such a massive umbrella, it's kind of carried by the fact that it's a huge company. So that all these networks and all these like online systems are still functioning today, right? But eventually, Mass Effect 3 servers are going to come down. That's going to suck. That's a huge part of Mass Effect 3's whole game. And I love the Horde mode of that, but that's going to go away.
And they are not gonna fix that thing up.
No, they're not. Well,
I feel like they would if
Because
it got
something like
popular.
if it got
something like-
popular.
yeah.
So, okay. Yeah,
Like
so of course what
classic
raises
WoW.
one thing.
No, EA is not gonna go back and fix
Hold
it.
on. There's actually a bit of information here. So EA did do a good deed once, okay? In recent memory. That one of those good
Battlefront
deeds
2.
they did was they brought the Battlefront servers back from the graves. They resurrected the servers, if I remember right. It was EA that did that.
Pandemic Battlefront, not.
Now, they did that as part of damage control for what was happening with EA Battlefront. I will remind you. So it's a little bit more than just they did it out of the kindness of their hearts.
If they were really trying to do kindness, like, why don't they do like back in the day, the old Counter-Strike? You didn't need the Counter-Strike server. You set up like a peer-to-peer, you know,
Yeah, that's network
and you
tunneling.
played it.
That's
Yeah.
that you can use things like Radman VPN to do that stuff. Radman VPN is what I use with my friends. We use that for simulating LAN networks. It's Radman VPN in case somebody missed it. RADMIN VPN. That is like a free software. You can set up your own little network thing and connect your friends to it, and then you should be able to simulate a local area network with that. That's how we've been able to play old games. The other old thing we use to simulate or play old games on is a program called Game Ranger. It's a website. You can download it. It's a free application. It's kind of you need to turn off all the notifications. It's annoying as a little app, but it works with some of the old games that don't work through Radman's network tunneling. What was also sad was when GW4L shut down. I don't know what that is.
G4WL.
G4 the show? G4?
Also, like, I kind of want to add that reselling a live service game has happened before. In a way, if you think about it, that's what happened with classic WoW or like vanilla WoW, right?
True.
Where they resold an old game because there's like a resurgence in popularity.
Well, they were a bit cheeky about it, right? So it wasn't necessarily reselling. It's like, well, if you have your WoW subscription, you can just have free access to it. Well, free access to a paid service.
It's a separate sub.
What? It's a separate sub? Are you
Mhm.
sure?
Was at one point.
Oh, that's changed. At least
Yeah.
not when Wrath was around. Wrath, it's not separate. Is
I
it separate
think
now?
I think it started separate, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
2019, I believe.
Because it was different
That was
servers
before
that-
I got back into WoW, so I wasn't following that. I did not know about that. That's
Yeah.
horrible.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Not
'Cause-
surprising at all,
Because
though.
when we went back to WoW, we went back in Wrath of the Lich King, and we went back to play Wrath again. And I remember that it was just all you needed was a regular sub, and so if you just subbed, you had access to it and everything else. So I was like, okay,
Wrath of the Bitch King.
he is
No
kind
one,
of a
no one
bitch.
complained about it back then.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, he is because
See-
he's so misunderstood.
2019, I was not very in the mood for WoW. At least I don't think so. I don't remember.
Wasn't that literally when you?
Or was that? I don't remember.
I don't know. I just remember you should play WoW, and I just no.
Oh yeah, we
And then you
should
play
have.
it-
It was fun. We did play it. We played BFA for a little bit.
You
BFA
played
was
for, like,
fun until we got to the
Oh.
fact that there was no end content. And I was like, what? I was deceived.
You lied to me.
It was really fun with the people we played it with, though.
Hey, are you going to play the gay wheelchair dragon potential one?
We'll probably play it, yeah.
When-
Which Dragon's Keeper?
No, there's the new expansion for WoW. Like every one of my friends that plays
Oh,
WoW,
Dragon's Keep.
gameplay wise, from what I watched, it looks really fun. Story wise, it looks like I want to brain myself against my wall. But to be fair, I
That-
felt
that
that
has
way
almost-
about every WoW story.
Yeah, that is the one with the new race, which all looks like very flamboyant
They're
dragons,
scalies.
right?
Mhm.
Dragonflight, yeah.
Cringe. I
One
just
thing I want to
checked,
say,
and the
quick
alt
with-
ed is 200 over NZ money. Oh damn! New Zealand's got to pay 200 New Zucky Buckies. Ooh.
oh damn,
For what?
Yeah,
for
because
Assassin's
shipping
Creed
is so
Shadows.
expensive.
Yeah.
I think the last new game I bought was Helldivers 2. Else, I have been buying and playing old games. I mean, there's some new games. Looking forward to Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Then the servers for Games Windows Live shut down shortly after and made it impossible to save in the game anymore. Oh God, Oh, that game was awful.
that game was. I was gonna say
Oh.
wonderful.
What, you like that game?
Oh, it was bad. It was a terrible game. I loved it.
Oh God, it's so terrible. It was pain. We tried playing it and it was like,
Right,
oh,
yeah,
it
this
was-
is just making me questioning ever listening to you in any kind
the
of.
idea
Oh
of
no,
the game was
it was a
cool,
bad game.
but the game was awful.
I just had fun. I did PvP and it was stupid.
Mhm.
The only thing I liked about the PvP was like, okay, like there were NPCs, and I love the idea of PvP games having NPCs involved in some way. That's why I like Battlefront 2 Classic, or
Titanfall had that, didn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the idea of NPCs being involved adds an extra layer, and so did Knights of or For Honor, not Knights of Honor. For Honor had that.
Yeah, it's nice because it's why the game like Enlisted was actually a lot of fun because yeah, you do at least get to kill shit that actually does something.
That until they went absolutely fucking nightmares with the grind and how awful and greedy they got.
The grind and apparently the balancing where you need to actually play around the new matchmaking system, or you just you're either gonna get foddered or you are foddered. So
Yeah, no, Enlisted is a terrible game. Do not play it. I am not.
Enlisted was fun. Then they kept fucking it up.
It was
That's-
fun, but that's the problem with all these free-to-play models is it
Yep.
wasn't profitable. Like Total War Arena, right? I was there and actually played that game. Total War Arena, when it was under Creative Assembly's stewardship, believe it or not, was actually fucking fun as hell. It was fucking amazing. Total War Arena, when it went under Wargaming, because Creative Assembly was like, we can't afford to run the server, so we're gonna have Wargaming do it. Wargaming killed it. But here's why it killed it, right? Total Arena was set up to be a free-to-play model. And because it was set up to be a free-to-play model, they were introducing grinding mechanics to make it more profitable. The issue is here's what they should have done with Total Arena. Total Arena should have been baked into any Total War game as its base multiplayer mode. Easy fix. Because the multiplayer mode is cool. Each commander controls 3 units. The units have their own abilities, and sub-commander, like their commanders have different abilities. So if you're an archer commander or like a melee commander, you take your units and then you upgrade them, they get different armor and stuff like that. That should be like a base multiplayer mode
Wait
in the
a
base
minute,
game.
that sounds familiar.
It's similar to how Shogun 2 does it, but better in a lot of ways. Or was.
That wasn't what I was talking about.
On
But-
the topic of Total
Oh,
War.
the maps were so good in it too. Like, hold on, just hear me. The fucking maps in Total War Arena are some of the most fun Total War maps I've ever played on in my life. Thermopylae was great. The Teutoburg Forest was awesome with its muddy field battle area. And like these maps are so cool. And so when I thought they were making Total Warhammer, I'm like, surely they'll have the map editors for Total Arena help with the Total Warhammer game.
Nope.
Nope. I don't think I've ever seen a map for Total War look as good as Total War Arena's maps. They were fun. Were they fantastical? Yes. Were they fun? Hell yes. Thermopylae was great. The fucking beaches on that one map were fucking awesome too. The Roman cityscape map was cool. Oh my god. What happened?
Did they pull out
Um,
support for that?
Video games became popular. That's what
Did
happened.
they do what? I'm sorry?
Pull out support for that?
They killed it by basically ruining the balance, making it super grindy. And when they made it super grindy, the fun of the game evaporated. When Wargaming took
Unlucky.
over. Because Wargaming took over and basically redid the launch of it because CA's original launch for Total Arena was really good. And like, oh shit, this is going to blow up. It's got huge potential. Let's get Wargaming, an MMO expert company, to take over so that they can really capitalize on this and really blow up Total Arena. They did, and they fucking destroyed and ruined everything.
On paper, asking a company like that to help them was a decent idea. In reality, they chose one of the worst companies to ask about that.
Yeah, Wargaming destroyed Total War Arena.
Just look what Wargaming did to their own flagship
And
product.
I know a lot of people were very vehemently against Total War Arena's existence because like, oh, it's an MMO and it's a Total War thing. But the thing is, I was of the opinion that Total War Arena should have been the base multiplayer mode of the actual games. It shouldn't have been an MMO. It should have been baked into the games. Honestly, if it was the multiplayer mode for Warhammer 3, I think the multiplayer, there would be an actual big multiplayer scene for the game. But there isn't that big of a scene. That should be how the
There's a few
multiplayer works.
tournaments.
It should be. It should be that way. It should work that way. It should work like that. But it doesn't.
So we can't have nice things.
Have you seen the rumors that they're working on a Star Wars Total War?
I just don't see that making sense, because what is Petroglyph's secret project then? Because Petroglyph is working on a secret project right now, and Petroglyph has made Star Wars Empire at War. So it was either Star Wars Empire at War or it's a new Command & Conquer.
If Petroglyph Scenes remastered.
It might be, Petroglyph might be working on Red Alert 2 and Tiberian Sun Remaster, which I would love to see made. But does that mean Creative Assembly is actually working on a Empire at War style game? Now, just because Creative Assembly is making it doesn't mean it's going to play like Total War. Creative Assembly
I don't
has
think
made Halo Wars 2.
A game with
And Halo
guns
Wars 2 is
just does not
awful.
work well for Total War.
what I would like to see potentially from Creative Assembly as an RTS, if they're gonna make something else that's not a Total War, would be basically them picking up the mantle of Empire at War 2. Because I think Creative Assembly, even as they are bad at making games kind of now, they're better than Petroglyph is at making Empire at War. Because Petroglyph's Empire at War, like even with mods, has problems. Critical problems, in my opinion. Very critical. But my problem is Creative Assembly can't into naval combat. They just can't into it. They're bad. They're bad at naval combat. And if Empire at War 2 is to exist, its naval combat's got to be good as well as its ground warfare.
Well, if you want naval combat, there's always Age of Mythology remake coming up.
Well, by naval, I'm talking about space naval.
Oh, my bad.
Todd
It's Star
donates
Wars,
$5 and says, "Hi, Bickering Bunch. Hey, Kibs, have you choose your friends for Neo 2? Hashtag breed Kibs. Hashtag boodle hands. Hashtag gassy German. Hashtag reap rapier. Hashtag bean the beano."
Thank you for the donation. I don't know. Probably gonna be the usual. I don't know anything about that game other than it's a game the chat funded, and it might not be a game I like because it's probably like Dark Souls. And I hate Dark Souls, chat.
And
But
he
yeah,
says you can pick the game fund outline.
wow, Beano choice.
That's a dangerous precedent.
I was muted.
Destroy Beano.
Thank you, Todd. I was going to say I'm going to help Little Chow Chow and put it in Wrath of the Righteous.
Okay.
Oh well, if you guys gonna have to excuse me, I gotta go now.
Well, actually, we're gonna
Goodbye,
wrap it up here.
friend.
Oh,
So this is
okay.
a good spot to wrap it. I was about to just say that, but I was scratching me nose because it was a little itchy. So, chat, thanks for hanging out with us. We're gonna schedule the next stream of today, which we'll just do a sort of a throwaway stream. So we'll do some Hell Dibbers too because it's easy to do. We just set it up and we're right into it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this was nice. It was nice to not be talking about Sony and all doom and gloom for a change.
I was going to mention
What?
I keep thinking back about Helldivers, and I still think it like this setting is probably my favorite sci-fi setting in a very good while. I kind of wanted an RTS on that setting.
I think it could be a cool RTS.
Even though I suck at RTSs, I want one.
Well,
I
you don't
want
have to.
sci-fi.
You don't have to be good at a game to like a game, right? Like Sins of Solar Empire is really fun, and I think you'd enjoy it. And I'm not very good at it, but it's fun.
Oh yeah, one last thing I want to say on this: the company's creating their own game passes now.
Yeah.
It's kind of shows that these companies aren't actually even aware of what's going on in their own industry, because they saw, Game Pass from Xbox seemed to have succeeded a while ago. We should capitalize on that, and they're now pushing their own. And at the same time, it's now coming out the Game Pass actually is just a money pit that costs Xbox money, and they have to shut down studios because of it.
Yeah, no, that's why this whole subscription service shit is dangerous, because a lot of good studios are gonna start get evaporating, right? Like, where is State of Decay 3? Now, granted, I feel like State of Decay 3 is gonna be a woke mess.
I think they're working on it, but yeah.
Because
You guys mentioned Sci-Fi Rush. I just want to say, not only they succeeded, but they had literally no marketing. They dropped to zero marketing, and they still succeeded, and they closed.
Yep, no, games can succeed via word of mouth. This is something that is important. One closing note: Revenge of the Sith, after the last two Star Wars movies, didn't do very well. Attack of the Clones was not received very well, but a little bit better than Phantom Menace. George Lucas kind of incompetence, really just destroying the legacy of Star Wars. But Revenge of the Sith, via word of mouth, managed to recover a lot, if I remember right. And it was actually thanks to word of mouth that actually carried the movie. Because word gets around. Hey, it's actually kind of good. Yeah, it's problems and the memes are funny, but like, it's actually not the worst thing ever made. And people are like, what?
To this day, no other Star Wars media can even touch the prequel memes.
That's true.
Mhm.
They're very good memes.
They're the best.
Even the new Star Wars only has like a couple of good memes, like they fly now, they fly.
No, no, no. You say multiple. I think that's literally the only one that I hear people use.
Somehow,
There's the-
Palpatine
there's
returned.
the-
That was
I
good.
know.
Oh,
Yeah,
that one.
that
That
one.
one's
I did
that
forget
one.
about that. Fine, they have 2. That's it.
They have like 3 or 4, but they're not very good memes. They're kind of retarded.
Prequels. This is where the fun begins.
Of course, was final thought before we wrap up the stream, because you're the guest, you get the final thought.
Yeah, that was all I had, and it was really great to talk around here. And thank you, Gibbs, for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for popping on. By the way, this will wrap up the stream, Chatfish. We'll see you in a little bit. Got to put away groceries finally. So, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your generous donations. See you later.
Take
Later.
care.
See ya.
Goodbye.